Well, you're on the right podcast. Here, let's push this little cocksucker right towards your face.
Bring the cocksucker towards my face.
Ooh. Oh, yeah. All right, I can hear myself well. How can you hear yourself?
Fine. Just dandy.
Okay, magical. La, 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 la.
La, la, la.
Welcome. Now, I know you told me how you pronounce it, but Bergey, isn't there like 15 E's in your fucking name?
There are 2 E's.
Okay, same thing.
Great.
There's a Y though. That's
15.
similar. You could use it. You could cut out that second E and just use the Y, and wouldn't it be the same?
The Duchess of York. Do you remember what her name is?
Have you not heard the goddamn? Have you never met me before?
Black Eyed Peas chick, totally talentless,
Oh,
looks
I
great.
see.
Her,
All right.
her name is Fergie.
Okay, so Bergey.
Bergey.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Jefferson Bergey. Thank you for coming on.
It is my pleasure.
Welcome to everybody to episode 47 of Conservatish. My name is Peter Feliciano. Feel free to find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. Go to patreon.com/conservatish to support all my bullshit. And welcome to the show.
Oh, snap. You got a Patreon?
I do. I have some supporters, yes.
Consider yourself, you're going to have one more after this podcast.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah, no, part of that is because I am going to be starting my own Patreon.
Ooh.
Probably a month from tomorrow.
I'm going to cut all of this out because I don't...
Great. And thanks so much for listening, everyone. Have
Right,
a great afternoon.
I don't even mention Joe Rogan because, of course, we're both, he and I are on the same level.
I'm sorry, not familiar.
So what's the Patreon going to be about? We were talking about maybe a podcast. What are you doing?
So here's the scoop. So I'm a professional musician. When I moved here from Chicago about close to 8 years ago.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, I was wondering. You're not all San Francisco-ish.
No. So when I moved here from Chicago, I was coming out of a messy divorce and wasn't making music for a long time,
right?
Like at all. Right. I was completely barren when it came to anything musical. Right. And when I moved out here, I was like, you know what? After all the hell I just gone through, I'm gonna make a goal of making a sustainable life from making music. I'm going to do this in 5 years. This is my goal.
Beautiful.
So I did it in 3.
Beautiful.
And I left the restaurant industry and took the full plunge into making music, which was scary as fuck. And also one of the biggest hustles of my entire life. I mean, I remember writing that I have never been so happy to struggle so much.
Yes.
So...
God, that's exactly what the fuck... So, my rate's been going up. My rate, I've learned, okay, business is business. This time that it's like, well, I'll have a day off and, I'm okay with making less. No, motherfucker, I need to make what I need to make, right? Yeah. And I've been talking with this cafe about doing 3 times a week shows and, bringing on other artists, bringing on you, bringing on these other people and whatever. And... realizing I've had conversation with people who I'm like, oh, wait a second. Not only am I taking a night off of work, okay, how much could I make it work in tips? But I also am driving. I also am not picking up a shift. I'm also, there's you're using my equipment. We're using my voice. We're using my writing. We're using my time to advertise, my time to text you to come on the show. Like this is my time is fucking expensive.
It's all encompassing.
And it's also terrifying, but just like this podcast or any other venture, it's like, okay, but what's the other option? Sure. I always bring it back. What's the other option? Sure. The other option is to stay being a fucking server or go back to school. I'm not for that shit. So.
Exactly, precisely. And I'll never forget the advice that was given to me from a man named John Vincent, who I used to work for Mike Ditka at his in his restaurant in Chicago.
That's awesome.
I got some fucking stories about the coach.
We'll talk.
Holy shit. But while I was working for him, I got to be friendly with a singer named John Vincent, who's there 5 nights a week. He sings the music of Frank Sinatra. He sounds just like Frank Sinatra. Right, he looks like a linebacker for the Bears. He's just this monstrous dude. Right. Well, he's got this really big voice, and he does all the Frank stuff, and he's amazing. And he knew that I was depressed at the time, and he pulled me into a private dining room, and he's like, "What's wrong? What's going on with you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a musician. I have a degree in voice, and I'm not doing anything with anything." And he goes, "Well, when I started doing music, the only advice I was given, I'm going to give to you." He goes, "Just start doing things. Just start doing things." He's like, "It's going to be messy. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be hard, but you're going to learn every time you go out. You just got to start doing it." Right. And I basically got to California, didn't know a fucking soul in anywhere, musically, anything. Played my first open mic at 50 Mason Social House.
Yeah.
Rest
I
in
did
peace.
shows there, yeah.
Rest in peace. And
I'm still Ed Ivy, right?
Yep, so I played, that was my first open mic that I played, and he goes, "Hey, Bubba, what you doing with your Tuesdays, Bubba? What are you doing?" And I said, "I got nothing going on." He goes, "Take my Tuesdays." So for 9 months, I played every Tuesday night for nothing, for peanuts.
Right.
Some nights it was just me, I'd be looping. Some nights I'd have other musicians. And finally, I kind of built an ensemble around me where some nights I would have a full band with a full horn section. And that's when I learned how to lead bands that I've never played with before on the spot. All on the job shit. Wasn't getting paid for anything. It was really, really important to do all that stuff. And eventually I started teaching beginning voice, and I was then singing in a wedding band called Sweet Love Express and learning what all that shit was.
All right, let's pause.
No.
That's the worst name
Sweet
I've ever
Love?
heard. Are you at it? Not just Sweet Love Express. Did you do exclusively 80s Beach Boys? What in the fuck is wrong with you?
I wish. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Kokomo. Again, we're going to play that song. No, so Sweet Love, rest in peace, Sweet Love Express.
So sad.
But here's the thing I got from Sweet Love. I met Caitlyn McGaw from that group. I'm not sure if you know Caitlyn. Caitlyn is one of the creators of a local family-based hip-hop group called Alphabet Rockers, who last year were nominated for a fucking Grammy.
Okay.
They were beat by Lisa Loeb, who I hear is kind of a bitch.
Right. Fuck that bitch.
Right. Whatever, Lisa Loeb. But I met Caitlyn through that group, and Caitlyn is like one of my heroes as far as a mover, shaker, networker, always going, just always making things work. I learned so much from her from watching her on these wedding gigs that eventually, when this other group started up in the city called Lucky Devils Band, I became one of the first band leaders of that group and MC, and we've now won 5 years later. We've won Best of the Knot, Best of Wedding Wire 4 years in a row.
Phenomenal.
And I've gone on to do leader trainings in Oakland, in LA, in Arizona. I'm doing one in Seattle next month, in Portland.
Wow.
So I'm basically going in and teaching these singers, like, this is what you do to lead one of these gigs and to do it successfully.
Right.
Which we're going to talk about. It might be on the mic or off the mic. We're going to talk about some of that stuff as well later on.
Yeah, no, okay, so obviously the podcast has been a big help for this, just spiritually or emotionally, whatever you want to call it, but in lots of different ways. I adore doing this, but it also is, obviously quite time and money consuming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm also 95% done, 90% done with my first ever actual album, like my actual first product.
Yes.
Instead of just posting things on on SoundCloud or whatever the fuck. And I've been playing once a week for years, twice a week at these wine bars, and my rate's been going up, and it's good. But part of the thing is that for me, I've been talking about moving to New York because I'm not a Bay Area kid, really. I mean, I've lived here since I was 9, mostly, but there's just more opportunity for somebody who does something to be in LA or to be in New York, and I hate LA.
And I would say to anyone, all my musician friends who moved to LA, I tell them the same thing every time. I go, "Oh, you're moving to LA? Cool. We'll be here when you get back."
Right, exactly. That fucking place. Anyway. And so I've had a lot of these conversations. The next lives in Austin, and we were talking yesterday about what she's been doing musically, and just telling her, she knows me really well, and I know her really well, and just telling her about the fact that I'm moving to New York, she's like, started laughing. She's like, "Of course you're moving to New York. That's of course what you're supposed to do." Because I mean, there's Austin, Nashville, L.A., here, New York, but like I'm none of those places, and so I'm like, got to find where I go. But these conversations about seeing it as a profession. And not being so goddamn sacred about it. And not being so fucking like, "Oh, here's my little..." Like,
Dude.
no. And thinking about it from the grand perspective of like, okay, syncing and licensing and, and equipment and weekly and like all this stuff it's terrifying, but it's really exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I can make that much? You know what I mean? Like, holy fuck.
This leads back to why I'm doing the Patreon, because as I started doing more of these corporate gigs, wedding gigs, private events, all that kind of stuff, I also became a producer / consultant for the group. So I'm handling a lot of the inquiries. I'm basically the liaison between the clients and the musicians.
Okay.
And in a nutshell, last year I produced the music on 70-something events.
Right.
That's about 35 events too many.
Right.
And I got very, very close to having a complete nervous breakdown. I was well, I mean, I can tell you the story about when I was assaulted on stage last year by the father of the bride.
Sounds beautiful.
That's a good time. But basically last...
Did you call her a cunt? What did you do?
No, but he almost did. Dude, that story is amazing. But anyway...
We'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But the reason I bring all that up is the fact that last year I forgot that I was an artist. I forgot that I was a songwriter. I forgot that I had anything to offer. I mean, now I've been doing body storytelling shows for 4 years now. I was talking to Dixie on the phone last night. She's like, it's going to be your 4th year of doing, shows with us. And it's like, yeah, it's been wonderful. But there's so many, I have like a stack of songs. I have like 30 some songs that I've done nothing with as far as recording or just putting them out there.
Right.
Last year I recorded not 1, but 2 full EPs that I haven't released. I haven't done anything with them. I've just been gathering dust.
Right.
So I got to this point in the fall where I was like, all right, something has to change because, great, I have a sustainable life as a musician. What do I really want, though? There's a chance that I could maybe make some money or start supporting myself off of doing music that I'm creating.
Right.
And Patreon is just the most amazing thing ever when it comes to people who are actually creating things.
Right.
So, and I'm great with deadlines. For body storytelling shows, she'll hire me and I have to come up with a song about whatever the theme is within a week and have it funny, body positive, sex positive, all those things. And the pressure of those kind of deadlines what makes me crank out something that I'm happy with and proud of.
Right. The pressure makes you better.
Yes. If I have no deadlines, fuck it, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
Right.
So this is a way to remind myself that I'm an artist, and this is a way to give myself deadlines. And let's face it, man, the music that I make is not for everybody.
No.
I mean, the show that I did with you where I met you, you saw the guy walk out as soon as I got done playing Happy Fistiversary.
Right. We have a similar style in a lot of different ways. Yeah. I mean, I was actually, and not just that, but I was thinking about as far as the conversations with her, because she's taking a class now a year long for licensing and syncing and all that stuff and placements. And they're like teaching her, they taught her how to like just literally write the most vague fucking song you can, you know what I mean? And just practice that muscle of like, it's so difficult to not, I'm going to hit it exactly on the head and then the person walk to the store instead of this weird 90s grunge, this ethereal, like it's hard for me to fucking do that. And partially I had a mentor tell me one time, maybe it's difficult for you to do that because you don't trust the audience.
Yeah.
I don't think I fucking do.
Well, I mean, if you're like me, when I'm writing a song, I'm the audience. When I'm writing a song, I'm going, do I find this amusing?
Right.
Do I think this is clever? Do I like the melody?
Right.
Because if I'm not checking any of those boxes, fuck all if anyone else is going to care about it,
Right.
But I also realized when I started writing kind of subversive, sexually driven songs before Body that I didn't really fit in around here.
That's part of the reason why I'm getting the fuck out of here, dude. I'm not. I can't fit in Oakland. I can't fit in Berkeley.
But
I can massage it enough to get people. Like there's you done Tourette's Without Regrets.
I am one person who actually never been to Tourette's.
You would be perfect on Tourette's. I don't. Anyway, this is a whole nother story. We'll talk offline. But I will say, like I can massage it in a way. Like I did a show where I don't know if you heard the Me song, the one where I talk about being the Facebook.
I'm the shit.
I'm the shit.
Yes.
So there was
Facebook tells me.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So there's a verse that I did that I wrote for. So Tourette's Without Regrets had invited me to do a show a year and a half ago, on their Fuck America show in July. And I'm subversive, so anytime a large group wants me to do something, I'm like, I immediately want to poke it.
Sure.
And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. But my plan was I was gonna make a really fucked up song about how awful things are everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like I was going to make a really fucked up song like, can everyone count with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. You are 4 more times likely to get raped in South Africa than you are in America. Like and just start. And day of, I was researching, in Northern Ireland how abortion's still illegal. Like I was researching all this stuff, and I was like, all right, I might get chased out. Maybe there's a way I can massage it away. So I decided to do the me song and just write an extra verse. And it worked out great. And even though it was poking fun at them, it was poking fun at all of us, because I like that type of shit where it's like, I'm a hypocrite. I'm just as bad. It's not me being up here on this fucking spiritual mountaintop and you all you cunts who are hypocrites. Like, no, I am that. Let's talk about ego, the driving force behind whatever, the left, the right, the this, the that. Let's talk about the actual shit.
Yeah. And my stance in my songs is I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Like when I'm writing the songs, I'm writing the songs like shrugging as I'm singing them, going, I know,
right?
I'm like, I say in one of my songs, I have a song called Dirty Little Secret, which is about how I think pregnant women are attractive.
Absolutely. Well, okay. I'll dip in. I'll dip a toe in from time to time.
Well, I say that, something along the lines of, like, oh, she makes my water break, and I should be ashamed of myself. But I'm not.
I'm not, right, exactly.
No.
And so even though there's this weird, because I feel like the cool kids were always against the grain.
Yeah.
And now it's almost like the cool kids are with the grain and looking for the grain. You know what I'm saying? I know that there's exceptions, and I'm not saying we're martyrs, but I am saying that, like, when I did that show, okay, that was great. But then the next time I did it, I said some kind of like I didn't do it the right way.
Okay.
I took my guitar off to do like almost like a comedy set, and immediately felt naked, got in my head, and I was like, and I stumbled through this weird little monologue, and I didn't do it right, and I definitely like they didn't boo, but they didn't clap. They was just like, all right, thanks everybody, and it was just like a silence. And I stand behind what my stupid jokes, but I didn't deliver it the right way, and I didn't. Right. But I feel like that. There's almost like a fear. It's easier for like fisting or something like that. I don't know why that's easier, but it is. It's like, okay, dirty sex, blah, blah, blah. For the younger crowd, at least, hopefully.
Yeah.
But there's almost this weird, like, oh, he better not say anything bad.
Well, that's the hypocritical part of the audience in the Bay Area that gets on my nerves, too. Because it's like, fuck everything. Oh, no, you can't talk about the thing that I'm into.
Right.
No, you can't talk about the thing I'm into. And we're against that. And that is unconstitutional. Oh, don't talk about the thing that I'm into.
Right, free speech for everybody except for the people who I disagree with.
Yep.
It's fucking, god damn it, I don't want to choose sides. I'm not going to. You cocksuckers can't fucking make me. Like I'm going to keep, which is a bit of a, I know that there are people who can massage it sometimes, fucking whatever.
Yeah.
There she is. Who can massage it sometimes. Who are maybe difficult in other ways, but can massage it and do it. I believe her music is like it's good, and you can write things that are not. It's about love or about a relationship or about empowerment or some shit like that. Doesn't feel honest to me.
I'm sorry, huh? You're talking about love.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's why. And honestly, that's why when I started playing singer-songwriter shows in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, I instantly felt like I was a piglet in a litter of pugs. Okay. I was like,
that is the weird. I'm so behind it, but I'm just so.
Think of it this way. Think of like a litter of pugs, right? And they're all like sucking on the teat and like rubbing up against each other, and and then there's me. I'm like, I'm with you guys. And then all of a sudden, one day I go, oh, wait a minute. I catch a glimpse of myself in the water bowl and go, oh, I am not like everyone else here. Right. But is that a bad thing?
No.
I don't know.
Right.
So I mean, think of it this way. Bizarre Cafe. Have you played Bizarre Cafe?
Yes, a long time ago.
Okay, so Bizarre Cafe has...
Whoa. That's the one over in Inner Richmond?
Yeah, it's practically in Hawaii. Right, that one.
Exactly.
So I'll never forget, I played a song of mine called Come For Me, which the hook of the song is she only comes when she's fucked by a machine. That's the chorus of the song. And I'll never forget playing...
I'm so happy to have you on the show.
It's good to be here. And I'll never forget playing that song and looking around and looking around and seeing people who were like trying to intentionally not meet my eyes.
Were there families there? Because
No,
I've played there when there was a kid there.
No,
too.
it was all just like adults there for the singer-songwriter circle jerk or whatever the fuck it was. And I remember looking around and seeing like 2 or 3 faces whose eyes were like popping out of their head.
Exactly.
Their jaws were dropped. And they were like, holy shit, more.
Right.
You know? And I was like, okay, this is fine. I don't exist in the singer-songwriter world. Right. But there is something here that is for me. Right. I just haven't built it yet. Right. So I understand where you're coming from as being like, oh, you know, the Bay Area is not me or this area is not me. But at the same time, you got to do you wherever you're gonna go. Absolutely. So
and I've gotten much better at that. Yeah. I mean, this is an extension of that. Yeah. But it also I've gotten into this place, and I think this is natural for somebody who hasn't put out a fucking album yet. I'm goddamn 32. I don't know why it's taking me this fucking.
Don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about that.
Okay. But I will say, like, it's not that the songs are sacred. It's almost like I haven't even been interested in writing new shit in a while. Like, the oldest song on the album is 2011. The newest one is from, like, June. And so that's, okay, whatever. But, like, I've been way too focused on getting my presence and I know I can stop a fucking show. I know I'm very good at that. Sure. But I'm kind of sick of being that guy who can like, okay, I'm going to play Part of Your World, and all the girls are going to start videoing, and then I'm going to fuck one of them after the show, and like, this is, okay, and then I'm going to sing fucking, you know, Take On Me. Like, I'm like, and not just that, but writing-wise, I'm frustrated because, and again, it feels embarrassing to even say it, but like, I'll make a song, and then I'll put a melody to it, I get married to the melody, and then when it's time to put lyrics to it, I kind of start, and then I'm like, whatever. And then like a week goes by, and I write another song, and I'm married to whatever the melody is, and it's catchy, and it's in my head, and I'm like, Pete, you're gonna do something with this one. Yeah. But I get too goddamn sacred about the lyrics. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not like, oh, this one has to have a message, but like,
you need to take the emotional weight off yourself when you're writing. You need to just take it. Like for me, you know, part of my thing is, if I'm not creating every day on some level, right, then I'm letting myself down in some way, you know. But you know, and I teach one day a week at Starland School of Music in Alameda, and my youngest student is 8 years old, and my oldest student is in his mid-60s, right. And my favorite students that I get to work with are the ones who are interested in songwriting, right. And I wish Bailey was still my student. I had this student named Bailey. She was like 8 years old, something like that. Couldn't get her to focus on shit. Right. Nothing. Every week was a disaster. Just it was, and they were only half-hour lessons, and I loathed when Bailey was coming in because I'm like, I'm gonna be fucking babysitting this kid. It's gonna be horrible. Right. So one day I came with the idea of, let's write a song, Bailey. I'm like, here's a whiteboard and a marker. We have a half an hour to write a song. Right. And that started one of the most beautiful Lennon-McCartney songwriting partnerships. Bailey and I wrote like 30-some songs together.
So she came up with the fisting song. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's correct. Good idea, Bailey. We only have 28 minutes. Let's finish it. But here's the thing. But with those lessons, she came in, and it was instantly, we're going to work. Right. We have 25 minutes to come up with a song so we can record a demo of it so I can text it to your dad when the lesson's over. Right. So that's the kind of mentality you always need to have as far as like, I'm going to write something. No, or whatever. Just crank it out, write it, walk away, come back to something else. Right. Like right now I have like 6 or 7 tunes that are in some shape of not being complete that I'm coming back to. I had to write a song for Body recently, and I didn't have any ideas, and I went back to a note that I have on my phone that I call Scratchpad, which is just like couplets of bullshit just for miles, just like miles, just scrolling forever.
Oh, this is a t-shirt idea, an album name, and
all of that, exactly. And I found an idea for a song, and I wrote Dinosaur Erotica for the most recent show. That makes sense. That was just something that I had scratched out a while back, maybe like a year and a half ago, and didn't do anything with, and just plucked it up and went, let's do something with that. So as far as like getting married to certain songs and thinking it should be this way, and then getting really frustrated with yourself and just abandoning it altogether, it's like, oh fuck, I hate that I'm gonna do this. Are you familiar with Harry Potter?
All right, thank you everybody for coming on the show.
Good night. I gotta go. Fuck. Crucio!
I'm taking my fucking sparkling water back.
Shit.
I'm lightly familiar.
All right.
But unfortunately, sir, I am straight. So what's this? What's
so there's in one of the later books or later movies, Dumbledore has this thing called the Pensieve. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's like a cauldron where he keeps his thoughts. Okay. And he basically uses his wand to pull a little thought, a little memory out of his head and drops it in the cauldron, or drops it in a little vial. That's what it is, a little vial, and keeps it there and puts it on a shelf. Okay. So the way I think about that is like, I have this practice called the morning pages. You ever heard of Julia Cameron's The Artist Way?
A couple people have said it.
Yeah. So the whole book I think is bullshit, but there's a couple of, well, she loses me at the God part. There's like this whole thing about like, talk to your creator, your higher being. I'm like, you lost me, bitch. I'm out. Right.
I mean, you could call it energy. You could maybe you know there's a difference between ego and whatever the fuck you want to call it.
That's fine. That's fine. But I think I was in a place when I was reading the book where I was like, nope. But she has this practice in there called the morning pages. And basically what it is it's the first thing you do in the morning. Right. You get up, you set a timer, and you just stream a thought right. What it says is that you need to handwrite like 2 pages. Yeah. I have
voice to text. What do you do?
No, I use Write Room, which is almost like a DOS prompt kind of. It blacks out your screen so nothing can distract you, and you just go. Right. So I've been doing the Artist Way, or the morning pages, for 10 years. Okay. Almost every day.
What time do you give yourself?
About a half hour. Okay. 20 minutes is always for sure. And then if my alarm goes off and I want to finish a thought, I just let myself.
Just to pause you, by the way, you do realize I know you might retch, but I did have to suffer through Harry Potter. Yeah. But that is a little spiritual. I don't want to call it spiritual, but that is the practice. There is something pragmatically
that's true.
Beneficial.
All right. Well, don't get me wrong. I am actually a spiritual dude. Okay. I just don't like. Here's the thing. I am kind of a spiritual dude, but but the thing is, you can believe whatever you want. You can believe in the man in the moon.
Whatever.
Just don't try to get me to buy tickets to get on your spaceship.
Right, no, for sure.
So that's what it comes down to me. So that's felt like
and I believe whatever the energy is or God, he's fine with me saying cunt. Yeah. Like he's totally
he came up with the
fucking
word.
A butt, you know what I mean? Whatever, you know what I mean?
He came up with the word cunt.
Right, he did.
There's a reason he made Irish people sound so great while saying it. Cunt. It's just the best. Anyway, so morning pages. So I've been doing this for 10 years. Okay. And it gives you a chance to take thoughts, to take anything out of your life and put it in that jar and put it on the shelf and forget about it. Right. So songwriting for me is the same way. I come up with ideas in there, I leave them there, and then I go, oh, that was a good idea, and I pull it out of the morning pages and put it in the scratch pad.
It's not even, it's not like this sensitive artist type of fucking idea of sacredness. It's not this like, my song is a piece of me, because I think that's just masturbation. Right. I think it's this weird sacredness, like, okay, I don't want to, as far as it's weird that you said you need to be like have less pressure on yourself, because I've had this. It's a long fucking story, but I'm finally over the last. So I've lost 105 pounds since March.
God damn, son, that is impressive.
And I'm like many big changes in my life have fucking happened, and so it's been this fucking surgery, like mental surgery, emotional surgery, where it's just like, okay, where, like, and actually just grabbing my balls figuratively and literally, like, okay, what do I want? Let me be kind of, I don't want to say nicer to myself, but like a little bit, like, how do I, you know what I mean? Like, let me do that. And, I feel like the sacredness, the over-sacredness that I do with my shit is I don't want to fucking pull the trigger right now on it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do it unless I'm at a stadium.
Yeah. See, you know what I mean? I've heard myself say these exact same things before, man. And you are fucking kidding yourself. Just put it out there. Right. You have to remember the golden rule you have to remember about anything creative. nobody cares.
Right. Yeah.
No one cares.
Absolutely.
So you got to put it out there, and I'm a culprit of that too. I mean, I just told you at the beginning of this talk we're having that I have music from last year that I just didn't do anything with because my self-esteem was in the toilet, and I thought that all I was a fucking wedding singer.
Right.
You know, so. I completely get where you're coming from.
Right.
Just fucking put it out there.
That's exactly.
Just fucking put it out there so you can. Because that's the thing you were talking about. Like, well, the oldest song is from from 2011. The newest song is from now. No one knows the difference. No one knows the difference. You put the album out. It's all new to a lot of people.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So. I just do it. Just put it out there. Just keep going. Just keep going. Because otherwise, you are going to overthink this album to the point where it's.
I mean, I've already sunk thousands. Like all of the GoFundMe from last year, we hit like 1,300 past the goal. It was great.
That's amazing.
All of it's gone since like September.
Sure.
And so it's just me pumping my own money, into it, and just okay, now what? And like now the mastering of all this dog shit. So I know that ethereally, spiritually, whatever you want to fucking call it. I just need to like pull the plug and just like let the diarrhea out. You know what I mean? Like I just need to just get it out of there and move on because I've got other shit. And that's when it comes to when my self-esteem is in the shitter. Mm-hmm. That's why I've been keeping it so sacred is because I don't think I can write other shit.
Ah, there we go. So you need a practice. You need a ritual, my friend. You need a ritual of making.
I just wanted to tell dick jokes by having you on the show. I didn't want to have a fucking process.
But where do you think the dick jokes come from?
God damn it.
Where do you think the dick jokes come from? But that's the thing, man. It's like you need a ritual. You need to start getting into just like getting used to just writing a garbage song and going, that's a garbage song.
Right.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Right.
You know, my girlfriend is an amazing. We have the same horrible sense of humor.
Is she a musician? Or?
No, she's an attorney.
Perfect.
Yeah, but she's an artist as well, though. She's a really accomplished painter. She does incredible stuff. But awesome. She's the best gauge for me of if something is good or not. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you, this has probably happened at least a half a dozen times, where I've written a song, I'm like, oh, this is funny. I wrote this one song called A Family Portrait.
Okay.
She will not let me play it out anywhere. She goes, that is the meanest song that you've ever written.
Is it like the Aristocrats? What is it? Dude,
is it? This song is written from the perspective of a waiter. I can't even remember how it goes.
Okay, all right.
I'll pull that out in a little bit.
All right.
He's pointing at my crotch, ladies and gentlemen. So the song is from the perspective of a waiter being handed a camera to take a picture of a family that he hates, having have just served them for 2 hours.
Right.
And he talks about all the things he's seeing through the camera.
Right.
Like, just, it's like body shaming palooza. It is just like, I am...
Beautiful.
Well, I mean, it's based off of a true story of people I served in the Coralville Mall outside of Iowa City in like 2001, you know?
Right.
And it is... mean. It is. I think it's hilarious because the entire song is like I'm trying to take a picture, but then I don't get the picture right, so I have to take it again, and then I'm seeing something else, and then I'm like, oh, Grandma wasn't in the picture that time.
And the shit tip keeps running through your head. They give me $5 fucking like that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Burn in a fire.
A family portrait. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I played it for her, and she's like, you can never play that song. And I was like, fuck. And then I wrote a different song for a body show, and I played it for her, and she just looked at me straight faced, and she's like, there's nothing funny about that. Mm-hmm. I'm like, fuck.
Right.
So I had to throw the songs out and start over. Right. But like also having someone in your life who you can play shit for, and they can go, yeah, that's got potential, or not so much. That helps too.
Right.
So I don't know if you have those people in your world.
I do. My dad is a very accomplished horn arranger.
Dude,
he's
you.
Salsa player.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he actually did stuff on the album. Like I asked him, I sent him. Did I play the one about rappers, shitty rappers? That's why you've got haters. Anyway, so I sent that song to him because I wanted him to do that one and the meat song. The meat song is about knowing better but not doing better. Like knowing that okay, the pigs that become my pepperonis are probably just only a week ago was dirty piggy ass, but I can't stop eating the flesh. You know.
Yeah.
So I sent those two songs to him to write some arrangements for it. And when he played me, he had a little audio recorded where he normally just writes down ideas and he charts it out and blah blah, blah, blah. And just playing it made me so fucking, like, because I have very talented parents, but, like, when my dad played me that fucking arrangement, I was like, why do I get to be a part of this? You know what I mean? Like, why do I, like, his fucking, there's this fugue part. Like, the nigga wrote a goddamn, like a marching, band, like this weird, like, okay, the high piccolo trumpet comes in, and then it comes in here.
Dixieland counterpoint kind of.
It's one of the fucking, I'm so excited. Like, I just want to take that literal bridge where he has that and just hold it like a baby forever.
Yeah.
So,
you're so lucky, man, to have
really fucking
musical
lucky.
Anything from your
Really
family.
lucky.
My dad claps on 1 and 3, and my mom claps on 2 and 4. They're very cute together.
Did you have musical people in your family?
No.
Okay.
No, my grandparents were cha-cha champions.
Okay.
In fact,
that's some rhythm.
My mom's dad used to chase all the big bands.
Okay.
My papa was a player. My papa left my grandmother for his secretary, who was 20 years younger than him.
Attaboy.
Papa was a player. My papa. He used to chase all the big bands around. So he saw Etta James. He saw Nat King Cole.
Brian Setzer. No, I'm just
kidding. Right. He probably would enjoy Brian Setzer,
of course.
actually. But he liked all those groups and all that kind of music. Dude, this is the best story. My papa used to tell. It was actually the last time I hung out with him. He told this story. We were smoking cigars together in Ditka's restaurant.
Of course.
And he was telling me a story about how he used to hang out with all the musicians in school because they were the cool kids.
Right.
And he goes, I used to latch on to them. I just wanted to be one of them. I wasn't a musician, but I worshipped them.
Right.
And one day the musician said to me, "Hey, Al, you want to come hang out with us after school?" And of course I was thrilled. So I went over to this guy's house. He had a studio above this, mom pop shop or something along those lines. And he said that one of the guys sat down and goes, "Hey, Al, I'm working on this song. It's not done yet. Tell me what you think of it." And he sat down on the piano and he goes, da 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 da.
Wow.
Da 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 da.
Whoa.
Da 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 da.
Right.
Mel fucking Torme playing my papa the unfinished version of the Christmas song.
That's insane.
Insane, right? So that's the only musical anything I come from. I come from
appreciation for it.
Insane appreciation for it. On both sides, really. Both sides. But no one's musical in my family at all. So.
But you also went to college for it, you said.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this a while. So I appreciate people like you, like my dad, like my mom, who understand, who took the time to put it into music theory.
Sure.
Like I do chords, and like my mom shows me like, well, this is why you like what you like. Because I have a mind for it.
Sure.
I know I'm good at that. I know I'm good at writing, and I know, like, I love the shit I do. But like, why does that note go up? No fucking idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know there are motherfuckers who have gotten way too. I keep pointing to somebody on the board. God, I want to rant about her. But anyway, who get too wrapped up into music theory. I actually sat down with her once to write, and like, so I'm not the professional pianist, and I'm like, well, maybe this and this and maybe that. And she was like, no, I think, no, see, but then you have to go to the 6. And I'm like, I just wanted to fucking grab her by the, no, you don't, bitch.
No, you don't.
Like, let's have fun. You know what I mean? And then later on, I think we were hanging out like 6 months later or something like that. And she was like, yeah, but I did all the work. And I just wanted to fucking, are you out of your goddamn mind? Like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Dude, co-writing is a tricky thing to begin with.
Especially with bad people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is at the end of the day, I mean, you can get into the theory of like structure of chords, like predominance and dominance, and why and how it. Of course, that kind of leads to this, and this is why, and path of least resistance, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, at the end of the day, what does your ear like?
Right.
Because that really tells you everything. Right. You know. So you can play me some chord changes that work really nicely together, but if it doesn't do anything for me, then I'm gonna do something different. You know, I'd rather do what Frank Zappa did.
Right.
You know,
yeah, Zappa's my favorite. Oh yeah, we talked about this. Yeah,
did we talk about Zappa
I think we did.
Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Bungle and Zappa.
Oh, yeah, that's
like
right.
when I was first.
That's right.
When I was. Yeah.
That's right.
I don't obviously. I only. I've dipped more into Zappa because, like, those were really huge for me growing up. But then I started going off in this distance and that. I've listened to a lot of Loretta Lynn the last year. Like, even though it's not mentally like very complicated. Like, I just love that chick. Like, I love that every song is either about cheating or Jesus.
Dude, that's amazing. I can totally speak to that because I've been listening to a lot of Willie Nelson.
Okay, yeah,
and it's either about cheating,
or pot, or right.
or being drunk,
right,
or the decisions that you've made because you were drunk,
right.
And they're all 2.5 minutes long. They're all in the same key,
right. And that's like, so if I would have shown my 17-year-old self that I was listening to that, I would be looking down on me because that's not complicated. But like, this is something I wanted to talk to you about. You know, and maybe that, you know, maybe your girlfriend has a good ear for that, or maybe just intrinsically, naturally, you kind of understand. Oh wait, I don't know why I don't like this, but maybe because I've had times where I've written something just to be an asshole and not have any accessibility in it at all. Yeah. And I think that sometimes that can be dishonest as well, just as dishonest as I love this vague song about nothing. You know what I mean? Like just as dishonest as a goddamn xylophone and and a ukulele in a Ford commercial. You know what I mean? Like there's just as much dishonesty going on. Have you had times?
Oh my god! I think that was just
fuck the feist. How about that? Should we
get? Okay. I thought that was a pomplamoose jab right there.
Oh yes, it absolutely is.
Wow. Yeah, like wow, he just nailed
cocksuckers.
Wow.
Own Patreon now. He does.
Yeah, you know what?
And I'm glad it's going down. Anyway,
do you think it is though? Do you really think it is?
No, it's not. But it should. I think the motherfucker needs to stop about. If you're either gonna be free speech or you're not gonna be free speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm not. But I just think. If the principle's not more important,
do they censor people on?
Yeah, they kicked out Sargon of Akkad. And there was one other dude. So there are these people who are on Patreon who and the Sargon of Akkad.
Sounds like a different language to me. Sargon of a what?
It is. He's a political kind of figure. And he's got a lot of people on YouTube. But he's not a fucking. I think he's Middle Eastern.
Infowars.com.
Yeah. Even if it was goddamn Alex Jones, like if the principle is not more important than the personality, then you don't believe in the principle. Yeah. Now I believe that there's a difference between literally going on your fucking Patreon and saying go hurt people. Obviously that's not okay. But like using the N-word in a joking fashion or voting for the wrong person, like y'all need to calm the fuck down. You know what I mean? Like free speech is the principle is either more important than the personality, or you don't believe in the principle.
Yeah.
So I'm just, you know what I mean? We don't need to get political necessarily, but I'm just saying. Anyway, so when have you written things where you can see I was just being like provocative, but not. I think the nature here is that we're provocative and we love it. Like I love being anti. I love whatever it is. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like provocative on purpose for no reason, and I turn around and everyone's kind of turned off, and I'm like, I could have done that a little better. Yeah, you know what I mean? Where I bring them along with me, or make fun of myself, or, you know what I mean? Like there's ways to do it.
Perfect example of that. I have a song called "Hail to the Queef," and "Hail to the Queef."
Is it about Tom York? I love Radiohead. Anyway,
it's. I should perform that song as if Tom York was singing it.
Yay!
Anyway.
You have to make one of your eyes a little fucked up.
To dance as if I have Tyrannosaurus Rex hands. Anyway. So, Hail to the Queef is a song that is... that's supposed to be empowering. It's supposed to be like... The chorus of the song is, next time she queefs, you clap.
Right.
Like you applaud her because that's gotta feel good.
Absolutely.
The whole hook is it's just a little air down there. Don't you dare let it spoil the mood.
Right.
You know. So it's like it's saying like if anyone has an issue or finds any stigma or anything weird about queefing, then fucking kick them out of bed.
Right.
Because who cares? Right. You know. Right. But dude, I play that song and I look around the room and it's uncomfortable. Yeah. You know because. So yeah, I mean, I was writing it to be a little bit subversive, I suppose. Sure. But it kind of like boomerang backfired at me because it's like no one understands that you're saying a good thing right now. Right. You know, and it's just looked at as a cisgendered, dude talking about queefs. You know.
Do you think they maybe felt like there was some fake?
Don't know. Can't speak to anything. All I can speak to was the silence that it was met with. Right. And in fact,
have you played it multiple times?
I played it multiple times, but recently, the most recent time I played it was when a friend of mine who plays tuba just appeared at my copadevino show. Right. And so we were doing different queef noises through the tuba in the middle of the song.
I love people.
People
are wonderful.
And that was received rather well.
Of course, yeah. Because you that makes sense. Weirdly, that someone else is in on the joke.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust this more mentally.
Which gave me the idea. I'm like, when I record Hail to the Queef,
Right.
it's going to be me, acoustic guitar, and tuba.
Right.
And that's going to be the way to do it.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, I mean, and I was honestly writing songs for body storytelling is really that kind of fine line between this is super out there, this is super sexual, it's foul, it's profane, but at the same time, it has to toe the line of being positive and not body shaming, sex shaming,
Right.
all those stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to know your crowd too.
Uh-huh.
Like you were saying, I don't believe you, as an example, playing your nasty shit at Copadevino and teaching at Starline are one is dishonest. No, they're both different versions of you. Both are just as honest. You could put just as much of your oomph in either one.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you have to kind of know, okay, if I've got a crowd who are asking me to play at the show and they're a bunch of kind of burlesque type of, that people, I know I can play to that, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I'm not going to play 9 Inch Nails at the fucking senior center. Like I'm going to try to, these days actually you probably could get it. But like, you have to know your crowd.
All I do, and this is probably not something, this is probably a perfect thing to say on this kind of podcast, but all I do professionally, all I'm doing from behind a microphone is profiling.
Right.
That's all I'm doing.
Right.
I'm sitting at Copadevino. I mean, this coming Monday will be the 89th Monday that I've performed there doing my show.
Right.
And
where's it located?
Copadevino is on the corner of California and Divisadero, so it's right in the middle of Pack Heights. A very nice place.
Of course.
This is why we call Copadevino a classy place 6 nights out of the week.
Right.
Because it is. It's a beautiful wine bar. It's won best wine bar from the SF Weekly. It's won best wine shop 2 years in a row. It's got awards from Wine Spectator. Like it's real deal. The food's great. The wine selection is wonderful. And then there's my fucking dirty ass sitting in there every Monday night.
What times?
7 to 9 p.m.
Beautiful.
I don't take a break. I play straight through. I have my own sound drops. I do games.
Nice.
In fact, I play a game called Let's Negotiate a Cover every week.
Okay.
And so let's negotiate a cover. It's a game that no one wins. Everyone loses.
Oh, no.
And it's a game that challenges me on the spot to have to come up with something that is being thrown at me. So I've had to do
James Taylor, or what do people request from you? Because me doing a guitar, there you go.
So usually, I'll give you a prime example. One night somebody says, I want you to do a combination of a 60s song and a combination of a 90s song. Beautiful. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I thought about it, and I'm like, I know. You let me violate you.
Exactly.
And I did like all of Closer, just, like Marvin Gaye.
Right.
You let me violate you. Ah, no, 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 no. You let me desecrate you. Right on. Right on.
Don't you go changing.
Yeah. I broke upon my insides. Like
God, I'm gonna fucking steal that from you. You son of a bitch. I'm gonna fucking.
This is the stuff we're gonna talk about, because we're gonna do some equal back scratching here with this kind of stuff.
Yes,
but
sir.
There was a time recently where someone goes, REM. I said, okay, REM. Who's gonna sing an REM song? And they said, Gollum from Lord of the Rings. And I went,
yeah.
That's me in the corner.
Yay!
That's me in the spotlight habits, losing my religion. Gollum.
And I just did,
Well
stupid,
done, sir.
stupid shit. I had to do a whole new world as if Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog were singing it to each other. Last week I had to do Susu Studio by Phil Collins as if David Bowie was singing it.
Studio. Just a vibrato.
Yeah.
Nothing but vibrato.
Where is it? Here come away. Oh!
Right.
It's so stupid. And the whole point of the game is that it's just fucking ridiculous.
Right.
Last week I had to do La Isla Bonita by Madonna as if Cher and Samuel L. Jackson were singing it.
Beautiful.
I think Gollum made an appearance in that one too.
Absolutely.
It's stupid.
God
it's so stupid.
damn it.
But that's what the podcast is going to be for the Patreon that I'm working on, because I've recorded every show that I've played there.
Okay.
So I have 89 versions of Let's Negotiate a Cover. So the podcast idea is going to be a 10-minute podcast where I basically set up the Let's Negotiate a Cover on from home or whatever. Like here's one from June of last year. There was a chick in the room who wanted Journey, and I don't know any Journey, so this is what I did. And then played the recording, and that's the podcast.
Beautiful.
That's so
well done.
The Let's Negotiate a Cover podcast.
Well done.
So I don't know why we're talking about Scopo, except for the fact that they let
I
me
want
do it.
to plug it for you.
Yeah.
But...
No, I'm saying I don't know how we got into talking about Scopo. Oh, I know, profiling.
Right.
Because if I'm from behind the mic, I'm watching people. We have the best view of the entire room. We can see everyone who's coming in, and I can tell right away who are going to enjoy what I'm doing and who are not going to enjoy what I'm doing.
Right.
And for a while, from the very beginning, they weren't telling people that there was
going to be
quote
someone
unquote
disgusting
a
there.
dirty music comedian guy who's going to be in the corner singing songs about oral sex.
Right.
And so at first it was really hard to kind of offset that kind of like, because I wanted people to stay. I didn't want to drive them out, and I see people walking in. I want to do what I can to invite them in and keep them in. So I will play what I call sorbets, or like a palate cleanser.
Okay.
And then that's when I'll play like an Elton John song or a Billy Joel song or a Beatles tune or something that kind of like wipe the slate clean.
Right.
Like, I just talked about all that dirty shit. Let's give you something a little bit more palatable for a few minutes.
Right. I'll often start the show that way. Like if I know I'm going to get into some nasty shit, I have 3 songs to do. I'm gonna sing about the Barely Legal Blonde. Let me do Part of Your World just to make it. Okay. So you have now their attention, and they're willing to follow you on the ride.
Yes.
Right.
Same thing if I'm working a wedding gig though. If I'm behind the mic on a wedding gig, I am profiling the entire time, because it is my job as this band leader to keep people on the dance floor.
Right.
So I'm calling audibles the entire time.
Absolutely. And I'm super on board with that. I think that is absolutely our job, and I think both of us probably do that pretty well.
Yeah. How
often, because at least one point in almost every show, my ego starts to get a little too goddamn involved.
Oh.
Meaning not the good part. I mean I'm profiling, like I was talking about this the other day. I was at a wine bar, and it's outdoors, and there's a little awning because it's kind of lightly raining, but there are people outside and inside, and I've got my amp, and it's loud enough so that people out there can hear it, but a little too fucking loud for the people right in front of it.
Sure.
And so people are kind of getting up and moving, and they love me there, but they're like, every once in a while, a waiter would come, do you mind playing a little quieter?
Yeah.
And I started getting in my head about like, okay, and now I'm looking around way too much. It's all muscle memory doing this, and that's not good for my voice. It's not good for the people. There's an energy that they automatically know Pete's not, and it's not even they know. There's a subconscious thing. Pete's not in this with us.
Yeah.
And I start my profiling gets to the point where now I'm not doing it from a place of what are these people? Let me play. Let me whatever. Let me drive this truck. It becomes this. All right, you know what? If you're gonna do that, fuck you. I'm gonna like you know what I mean? Where I can get punishing and not in a fun way. Yeah. My ego get wrapped up in my expectations get wrapped up in it.
I know exactly what that feels like.
Right.
It's different when it's a solo acoustic thing, because then I have way more options to pull from.
Right.
Do you use a tablet when you're doing shows like that?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
See, I do.
I'm sure it's fucking great because of it. Now, is that the same thing? You don't use an MPC or a looper from time to time?
I do loop. Yeah. Okay. Like, for example, I played a show, what's today, Thursday? That was a week ago tonight. Horrible. It was horrible.
What was horrible?
It was at this bar in Burlingame, and I
don't like it already.
I was so aggressively ignored. Like, to the point, like, so aggressively ignored. And this is that I came back from one of my sets, one of my breaks, and I had a delay pedal as well. And to start the set, I hit the delay pedal, and I started playing chords, and I go, oh no. It's a guy with an acoustic
right.
guitar. No.
Right.
and like just trying to fuck with people to be like, what's it gonna take?
Break it up.
And like, I'll throw them a 90s song, nothing. I'll throw them a 70s song, nothing. Okay, I'm gonna play a Drake song right now.
Right.
Oh, still nothing? Right. Fuck you. I'm gonna play Grateful Dead for the next hour.
Right.
You know, because if you're not into it, if nothing is biting from any angle, that's when I get angry because I'm like, I am doing good versions of all these songs. There's got to be someone in here who's either paying attention, and then at that point you have to like cool yourself down and be like, just play the gig.
Right.
Just play the gig.
You're here to be of service. Yeah, you're here to provide an entertainment if people are willing to listen. That's
play the gig, and by the end of the night there were 6 Hispanic dudes in their like 50s who were like, Hotel California. I'm like, you got it. Right. They're like, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. I'm like, that's a weird request for a bar, but okay, you got it, you know?
A bunch of Mexican with cervezas started crying, and she was so beautiful.
I know, it was so weird. But you know, and that's the other thing, too, is, and this was the case at Scopo, and still is, if there's 2 people who are into what I'm doing, and there are 2 people who are engaged, and are, like, in it.
You're my family for the rest of the fucking show.
Here we are. Everyone take a knee. We're in this together. Here we go.
Fuck these other people.
Yeah, and then it becomes their show, too.
Exactly.
Which is empowering for them.
God damn it. This is so weird. This is so weird that we know each other.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, and here's the other thing, too, is, and you can relate to this, I tell people all the time, another reason why I don't fit in with the singer-songwriters, okay, is that some singer-songwriters, and you know the type, the singer-songwriter that goes, oh, I've never learned anyone else's music. I've always just done mine.
Go fuck yourself.
Bullshit!
Go fuck your fucking self.
Then you don't know how to write a fucking song.
How come all of your songs sound like fucking Tori Amos then?
You don't. Check it out, Bon Iver. You don't know how to write a song.
Neither does Bon Iver.
Yeah.
Can we be real?
Yeah.
Can we be fucking real?
Dude, my girlfriend went to a Bon Iver show and she left a half hour into it.
Good girl.
I love her so much. She's like, she looked around at all the hipsters she was surrounded by. She's like, I don't get this. I'm leaving.
Right.
And she left.
None of them are having fun either.
No.
Because that's the way they have fun at a Bon Iver show, is to show how much non-fun they're having.
Fuck that
I
shit.
appreciate this.
Yeah.
He's such a genius. I'm not going to dance or clap, but I make sure that I'm frowning the entire time, and then I'll post about how what a genius that. Go fuck yourself.
Seriously,
God
you know.
Damn it.
So, like for me, I learned how to write songs because of the Beatles. You know, like learning, like sitting in a bedroom, going, I suck. Oh, a chord. I played a chord. Oh, I suck. But like, you gotta learn from something and somewhere. So that whole like mentality of like, oh no, I only know my music is like, well. It's like when you hear a musician say on stage, if you hear a musician say on stage, here's a song I just finished writing today. What they mean to say is, this song is about to suck. So buckle up, everybody. Everyone buckle up. This is going to be a brutal 4.5 minutes.
I will say, when I was doing that Tourette's Without Regret show, the one that went, I mean, I performed multiple times there, but the one that went really well was when I wrote that really scathing, like I'm fucking, anyway. I wrote a goddamn I don't know if I played it at that show, but the verse to the Me song went, check out my beliefs, they're the ones I'm supposed to have, and I'm always on the lookout for an offensive act. This article needed sharing, though the headline's all I read. I have no gratitude, no perspective, just please like my thread. Can't you see that I have courage? Can't you see how much I care? Every feeling the algorithm feeds me only makes me more aware. I'm so fucking different how I stand and I speak up, because it's so hard in the Bay to say fuck America. Now, I believe, obviously, the way my voice helps that, my stage presence helps that, my playfulness helps that, the way it's set up helps ease all that so that they can let the dick into their butthole and then start to enjoy it, and then at the very end they're pushing back against it. Now, so there's a way to do that right, and... And one of the things that helped that was that I had written it that morning, and so I was making a joke about myself. I like took out my phone that had my notes on it, and I rested it on the guitar, and like was like, only makes me, and then people were like chuckling because they're enjoying it. I didn't do it necessarily on purpose, but that helps ease the.
Now, a song by a singer-songwriter about a song I wrote today is a good idea, and I might have to write that song.
Fantastic! I get 10%. Cocksucker.
Okay, great.
But I also.
But I did all the work.
Whatever. Anyway. God, I want to put a fucking name on this goddamn whatever. She doesn't even play anymore. Have you noticed that? She'll do like one show a year, and it'll be resentfully built, and then it'll be like she goes back into her cave of resentment, just like no one appreciates me. Anyway,
yeah, because that always works too. Is yelling at people online for not showing up at their show. That's the funniest.
Has she done that? I unfollowed her like a year and a half ago.
I'm just saying, like, the pity party people.
Right. Right. It's not your personality. Your talent does not back up your personality. It's not. You know what I mean? Like, if you were Bowie, you could be that piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, but you're not Bowie.
Well, but that's the other thing too. Is remember how many Twitter followers Bowie had? No, I don't either. Give a fuck. You remember that online course that Paul McCartney took to teach him how to write songs? You remember that?
It was a master's class.
Yeah, you remember? It's a master's class. You go to boop-a-doop-a-doo.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so like that shit doesn't translate for me either. But it's a necessary evil now. You gotta be there. You gotta be.
And I'm sinking all this money into fucking advertising and advertising and advertising. But it's like to position it in the right way. Anyway, how are you doing on time? It's 3:48 right now.
I'm fine.
You're okay?
I'm fine.
We took a piss cigarette break. You be all right with that?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Let's go be dependent on chemicals.
Sounds good.
I'll be back. That was a little too not nicotined enough.
Yeah, well, are we ever?
God damn it. I really got to quit soon. I'm fucking... My last podcast episode, the one I posted today, I was just literally in my car, smoking cigarettes, ranting to myself. People seem to like those episodes, but it's definitely, I didn't bring my water out in the car, so I'm like coughing and shit.
I'm telling you, man, Alan Carr's book.
Alan Carr.
Do you know who Alan Carr is? Mm-mm. Alan Carr wrote a book about quitting smoking, and it's the easiest thing to read and to relate to and go, okay, I get it. I can. Yeah, this makes sense. I can stop smoking. So
right.
Oh, something we can talk.
I know that I know what to do. I've done it before. I quit in goddamn 2011, but I'm just a
quitting's easy. I do it all the time.
Silly goose, right? Exactly. Yeah. So you said you wanted to say something. Save something for the podcast.
Yeah,
what are you saying?
There was
So the band you're in, Lucky Devils.
Yeah. So when I started singing for Lucky Devils Band, I sang the first showcase that they had in San Francisco.
Okay.
And
what's the showcase like?
The showcases are it's a free showcase that we do once a month for an hour, and it's a full band, and we show off different versions of the band, different sizes. We do all sorts of music. It's
nice.
Just an easy hour
marketing tool type of. Okay.
It's a free showcase. Potential clients come, they show up, and they go, yeah, we like the band, we want a book or whatever. And that first showcase, I'll never forget this. The guy who runs the company comes up to me and he goes, there's a couple behind me. He's like pointing at himself at the couple that's behind him, so I can see them. He goes, are you available next month on this date? I'm like, yeah. He goes, okay, good. So the next morning I woke up, and I was working in a restaurant. I was hustling, doing all the things. I woke up the next morning, opened my email, and I had over $3,000 worth of gig invites.
Beautiful.
And I went, okay, I guess I'm doing this. And they said, here's your band, go.
Right, shit or get off the pot. And now I need those in my goddamn life.
I knew nothing. All I knew is from what I'd watched Caitlyn McGaw from Alphabet Rockers doing that other band. I just learned from watching her.
Right.
So using my morning pages every day, after every one of these gigs that I would play, I would sit down and I would use my morning pages to go, what worked? What didn't work?
Right.
What kind of gear do I need?
Right.
What songs did I try that failed spectacularly?
Right.
What songs really went well? And through that refining, through using the morning pages, I started to write about every single one of those gigs. Fast forward a couple years, I took all the information that I had learned and I wrote a manual. I wrote a 30-some page manual based on all of my experiences of how to successfully lead a band, going from how to communicate with your band, how to communicate with the planner the day of, what to do in this situation, and these are the trainings that I do now a couple times a year.
So what do you do with a cunty keyboardist? What
do you do with the cunty keyboardist? What do you do?
Here, pull the mic a teensy bit closer.
Sorry. So
So there's different versions of cunty.
Yeah.
If they're amazing,
But that's-
because that's sometimes harder than
Well-
if they're awful.
Here's my stance on that is show me the best keyboard player in the Bay Area.
Right.
I'll take a guy who's not as good as that guy who can show up,
Right.
have the songs, have the sounds ready,
Right.
and is a pleasure to work with.
My dad said the same thing when we were talking about who he's going to bring on to he recorded it back in August. I think we did horns. And he was talking about who he books. Like, he knows that there are amazing musicians out there, but he'd rather work with someone who's 75% and have them show up on time and be kind and follow directions versus somebody who's 98 and is going to be a piece of shit. Yeah. And he was talking specifically, there was one trumpeter. And it doesn't fucking matter. One guy who plays trumpet, who like always is talking about and books himself as I won't say, but he's like, I'm this guy's artist, you know what I mean? Or I'm featured on this album, and he like, okay, yeah, he did a song on that album, but he's not that guy's fucking artist, you know what I mean? He's not.
This makes my George Carlin muscle flinch because I hear that and I go, well, he sounds fairly intelligent. Oh, he's full of shit,
right?
You know?
Yeah. So what can you share, maybe not details, but like an experience where you were like, you had to fire somebody and it went well or went poorly, or?
Well, so...
or is it more just the don't call back?
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And what I tell everyone is that I don't care who you've played with. I don't care how the size of the stage that you've been on. I mean, I've played with artists who have played in bands with Sly and the Family Stone,
right,
who've been in Prince's band,
right,
like killers, all right?
Right.
But that shit doesn't mean anything to me if you didn't learn how to play the first dance on this wedding gig that we're playing today.
Right.
Because guess what? The gig that's most important, the one that we're playing right now,
right,
that's the important gig.
Right. It's not beneath you, cocksucker.
Never.
Right.
And I tell people all the time, every time you go out to play, every gig that you play is an audition for another one. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the more that you're thinking that you are auditioning for people that you don't know what could be coming down the line,
right,
if you have that attitude, then you're going to be fine because
right,
all you're doing is auditioning over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
You know? So it's the same thing on every time I walk into copadevino. I go, I'm nervous before every time I play.
Me too.
Every time.
I don't know what I've been doing it for fucking years, and it's still like,
yeah,
you know, sometimes worse than others. But
dude, we go play Morgan show, and I'm like, oh boy, I hope they don't let me. Oh God, you know,
it's like there's not a lot riding on this. You know, it's good people. It's quiet in Bernal Heights.
Yeah.
It's like great hosts, and it's like you're the musical act. Like it's gonna be fine.
Still
you know,
nervous.
but there's still right.
Still. Thank God for CBDs too, because honestly, the anxiety that I was dealing with last year, it was a huge. I mean, dude, it's for real,
right?
So you know, and that's the thing is, and I also tell people all the time too, and especially the singer songwriters of the world, who, you know, are so pure and keeping such an artistic integrity that they can't pay their bills.
Right.
I tell people all the time, like, hey, you want to make a living as a musician? Great, learn how to do other people's music.
Right.
Make it a goal to have people pay you for yours, but in the meantime, get really good at playing other people's music. And
there's a way to do it. Like the stuff that I do, I try to go through. If I'm not getting a good read of the audience, I'll try to like, okay, 90s R&B. Okay, that gets that reaction. Let me do an 80s song. Oh, okay, that gets more reaction. I've got an older crowd. Let me do some more of that. Let me play with dip into some 70s, or you know, if there's an old couple in front of me, do a little Louis Armstrong and make him feel like you know,
exactly.
And
profiling.
Exactly. Yeah, profiling. But there's a way to do it where you're not feeling like you're like selling out, and there's also a way to do it where you're not going to play, oh, this is a B-side from fucking, you know, Mudhoney. It's like, you know, you can do it. You can do it so that it's accessible and fun for you as well.
Exactly.
You know.
Yep. And that's just part of building up your own repertoire. So you have things in your bag that you can go to and pull out and know that, oh, okay, you know, at least for the next 5 minutes, this is going to go over well to the point where I can map out what the next direction is, you know?
So, how often, if you're doing a solo gig, how often do you find... Because I've had times where I don't mention the tip jar at all, and then I've had times where I mention it after every song. What do you feel?
I am horrible about talking about tips.
Right.
Partly, I mean, maybe it's because of the 17 years I spent in the restaurant industry.
Sure.
Where it's like, how much should we tip?
Right.
You don't want to say anything because it just seems like you're you're crossing a weird invisible line. So, it's funny, I haven't used it yet, but I do sound drops during my show, and I've actually made a sound drop. And I've made...
Oh, yeah.
So, no, the sound...
too.
The sound drop is like jungle noises. It's like, it sounds like there's like crickets and like monkeys in the background, and it wind, and it's all very like in like a natural like...
setting.
Yeah. And what I have over the top of that is, now observe the musician in his natural habitat. There he is, tuning his guitar. Notice the tip jar sitting right next to him. You can approach the musician and put tips in his jar. He will appreciate that.
Right.
And
you make it funny. Right.
Well, that's the thing, and I'm using that, and I haven't done it yet. I've been waiting to use it, and now I guess I have to.
Yeah, you do.
So I need to start using it now, because the goal of it is to use that sound drop, which is like 30-40 seconds long, to tune my guitar. So I'm going to be actively tuning my guitar and not reacting to the fact that that's what's playing, so that I'm getting that information out there without being like, hey man, here's my tip jar, man. Because I feel weird, because people are already in the building. They're already sitting there spending money on drinks and food.
They're already sometimes patiently... like they didn't plan on going to a place that had a musician, So
Yeah, it's I tell people all the time, I call it the point blank table. There's a table that's right in front of me, and if people are sitting there, I have to actively engage them, because I'm like, I am so sorry that you're sitting at the point blank table, right? You're just getting musical shrapnel all over you. You didn't come in for this, you know.
What I do sometimes is especially I've been doing it the last couple of months, where I'll sing like a certain song that I know, and everybody, once I have that good reaction, then I already know that because of my face and because of the way I play, like people know that I'm funny, and so I'll say like, yes, my name is Peter Feliciano, shower me with your money and praise. You know what I mean? Like that's I need it for especially after the
praise doesn't get me that clean,
right? Exactly.
Praise doesn't actually exfoliate the way money does.
Yes, definitely. Or sometimes, like, if you put, like, instead of, like, $1 hanging over to show people that that's tipped, I'll put a fucking 20. Go fuck yourself. Yeah. I'll put a fucking 20, because that's what the last guy tipped. Yeah. Cocksucker. Yeah. Cheap motherfucker.
So my tip jar is a French press pot.
Nice. I like that.
That has Canadian currency in the bottom of it. Because some asshole put Canadian, like tip me, and I'm like, that just stays there. That just
one time actually, like a month and a half ago, someone at my restaurant gave me gift cards to my restaurant as my tip. I was like,
no.
Right, but then I tested them, and it was $150, and I'm like, okay, I'll take that. I'll buy some fucking salmon. I don't give a fuck. But I was thinking like because I've also had times where I play music, not just at a wine bar, but there's this really nice, great people, some fucking delicious waitresses running around that place.
Sure.
This place called Triple Rock Brewery in Berkeley.
Oh, I know where that is.
Right, and it's a loud kind of sports bar vibe. And I have been playing during Warriors playoffs. I have been. So it's like you need to not only does my ego have to get real down here, because it's like, okay, you're right next to the fucking speaker or whatever, but now it's like I am beyond window dressing. I am nothing here. So it's like, okay, I'm going to play the hits. I'm going to try to get people as interested in, and we'll have fun with it. But I also have to remember, this is for money. This is for money. Yeah. I am getting paid. Everything's okay.
So with that in mind, I remember playing at a bar in Redwood City.
Is it Bobby D's?
No,
the sports bar?
No, but it was like a sports-ish place.
Okay.
I don't know.
Was it underground? No? Okay.
No.
Continue.
I can't remember what the place is called. But I had to play during like a Warriors championship something. Mm-hmm. And, I'm like, oh, fuck, what, how's this going to go over? So there were times where I'm like playing a song, and all of a sudden people just start cheering because I go, thank you very much. Thank you. Here comes, if you enjoyed the first verse, here comes the second verse. It's amazing. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Which is for you more than anybody, because sometimes people don't pick up on that. Like, but that's for you.
Or I will stop in the middle of a song. I'm playing a song, and all of a sudden they're at the free throw line, and I'll go.
Right. And
then they'll fuck up and miss the bet.
Right.
Then I'll go back into my song.
Right.
Like it didn't happen.
Right.
And totally deadpan the entire
Right,
time as if
right,
this
right.
is part of the show.
Right.
So there are ways around. I mean, there are all sorts of interesting ways that you can soothe yourself while you are having an existential crisis with your instrument.
Have you ever caught yourself just watching TV? Like you've played this song so many times and you're just literally watching the shitty episode of Law and Order that they have on the television.
This is part of my show on every Monday night. Every Monday night, there's a part of the show where I'm going. This past week, I look up and I'm talking about. I do a recap of the week before.
Right.
And I'm like, last week we did this and we played Let's Negotiate a Cover and this happened and what we're fucking watching figure skating right now. What's going on?
Right.
You know. Yeah. So. Fucking TVs and bars, man.
This is a weird life we live.
Yeah.
It's a great life, but it's a weird life, man.
And it makes me feel like the crotchety old get off my lawn guy. It's like, I remember back in the day there weren't TVs in every bar.
Right.
People used to talk in bars. People used to listen to music, you know?
Right.
But
I'm still a spring chicken. I'm 32.
It's... I'm 17.
Okay.
So...
I shouldn't have given you that cigarette.
How old do you think I am, actually? How old do you think I am?
Aren't you like maybe 35, 36?
I will take it.
All right.
I will be turning 40 this year.
All right. Get out of my studio.
Yeah.
Lowering yourself, the expectations of the artist, and then lowering the expectations of yourself. That's a whole nother fucking... And you have to do it on the fly.
And not giving your audience... not building the expectations of your audience too, because that will send you in a tailspin as well. Because you can just crush some song and it's glorious, and like the sun is coming through the clouds and hitting you in the perfect way, and everything's just connecting, and it's met with and you're like, what the what do I need to do here? You have to then weather that storm and go, oh, all right.
Right.
Because that wasn't for you.
Right. Next song.
Have
you ever... Because I've had this time where I was thinking... So Patrice O'Neill. You ever heard Patrice O'Neill?
Sure.
My favorite comedian of all time.
Rest in peace.
Him and Colin Quinn. In fact, that's part of the reason I literally... As shallow as this is, I have to be honest, part of the reason why I'm moving to New York is so I can be... hopefully near Colin Quinn at some point in my life.
All right.
If I could just sit next to that piece of shit and just talk and get made fun of, I'll be happy.
It's good to have goals.
And have him on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, Patrice used to say this thing where, and obviously he did a little too much, you know what I mean? He was a little defensive and he would tell you that, whatever. But when he would start to bomb, he wouldn't go... Like Bill Burr said, like hat in hand, he wouldn't go, oh, please, tap dance a little faster. You know what I mean? Right. Patrice would go, okay, all right, you're not gonna be getting on the ride with you? Watch this. And he would literally make people walk out. Like he would okay, we're now it's me versus you.
Yeah.
Guess who's gonna win this? You know what I mean? Because I'm getting paid either way. You know what I mean?
You just made me think of that historic classic Bill Burr set.
Yes.
Oh my God, the thing is amazing.
Right.
9 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We got 9 more minutes.
So Bill Burr's in Philadelphia at some stadium, and it's for an O&A show, an Opie and Anthony show, a live show, and he starts to bomb, and the way that crowd works, those fans of Opie and Anthony would literally just give you 2 seconds, and then if you weren't giving them, it was a part of the show for them to be just abusive cunts, right? Yeah. And so he started to have that happen, and he, instead of like walking off, he literally stood his ground and was like, okay, well, I'm going to make you pay. He made fun of Philly, he made fun of Rocky, he made fun of the audience. He was just like 9 minutes, and he's counting down because there's a clock right in front of him, and he's just giving them hell for fucking 10, 15 minutes.
And then at a certain point, which is the most magical part of that whole thing, and you can watch this on YouTube, everybody. You can find it. It's amazing. Great. There's a certain point when there's like maybe 2 or 3 minutes left where suddenly they're with him.
Yep.
And they flip around, they start laughing. He's like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, exactly. And that power, that's nature, because I believe a crowd, it's not that they're bad people, but if it's almost like a car wreck thing, I don't know what exactly it is, but if they see you struggling, they don't want to jump into the water to save you. I mean, maybe at a burlesque show, there's that over fucking confidence. I know we know a lot of very nice people and but like sometimes it's like, you're so brave. Like, stop. It's just taking the titties out. Like, it's not, you're the best. Woo. You're going to woo for literally 15, 20 fucking minutes. You're not, they're that impressive. No, stop. Anyway, but sorry girls, I love you, but be real. But like there's that need, that weird gene inside of humans where it's like that bully gene where like if you let them, which is to the thing about the expectations, if I start fucking up, and this is a difference when I was in Vinyl Replay, the 80s band that I was telling you about, I was with them, amazing people, good musicians, blah 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 blah. One of the things that we kind of butted heads on is when I would mess up on a lyric, I didn't want to just keep dancing, everything's fine, don't make believe it didn't happen. I kind of, the way I do my show, and I know I'm responsible for the whole band, and it's a different world than a guy with an acoustic, but if I'm playing a song and I fuck it up, I often try to just make a joke about it. Fuck that up. You know what I mean? Like, and people will laugh, because it eases the tension for me, it eases the tension for them, and it's not this weird little secret thing that just happened, and it doesn't activate that bully switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I give them the power that way, that's not good. Yeah. But if I say, well, fuck that up, and I keep playing, and I'm confident, I have the fucking power.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I just thought of that part of that plot line in Inception where they're like, oh, the subconscious, don't let the subconscious know that you don't belong here. Because they'll attack you.
Right, exactly.
It's that same kind of thing.
Right.
I played trumpet when I was a kid, and when I was in 8th grade, my band director roasted the 8th grade class, and he said that I was most likely to hit a wrong note on my trumpet and then laugh so hard at myself behind my stand so no one could see me. Because I think music done poorly is one of the funniest things ever.
Absolutely.
So when somebody fucks up, I think it's fucking hilarious.
Right.
So yeah, on the same kind of note, I was thinking about one of my favorite, two of my favorite artists ever. We were talking about Frank Zappa. Yeah. Tom Waits.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Love me some Tom Waits. Yeah. And Tom Waits on multiple press junkets and interviews, both in print and on television, tells a story about when he had the same manager as Frank Zappa, and so they put him on the road with Frank Zappa.
Which makes sense because Tom Waits kind of sounds like Captain Beefheart. So
yeah, well, not at this time, not in the mid '70s. If you listen to some of the if you listen to Tom Waits' like first 2 or 3 albums, he had a really pretty singing voice.
Weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I really need to quit smoking. Okay,
well, it's the drinking.
I'm big in Japan.
It's the drinking.
Oh, really?
Too, though. It's the drinking.
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you're good there. So he tells a story about how he had to open up, I don't know, 2 different little tours for Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. And he talked about, he's like, well, one thing that Frank Zappa fans like Frank Zappa. So I would go out every night and I would have to basically check the rectal temperature of the room, and they would throw produce at me, and because they would throw shit at him because Frank Zappa fans are such snobs that they're like, what the fuck is this? We want to hear Inca Roads. Get this guy off the stage, and it's that like. Thinking about being in front of people who who actively don't want you up there, that is, I can't think of more of a mind fuck as a performer to try to get through. And especially when you think about the kind of like barroom ballads that Tom Waits was playing at the time. For a room full of crazy Zappa heads, like that just doesn't mix at all, So
I would see, and maybe this is, I'm not Zappa, and I'm not, in that situation, but I feel like I've had times where like I go up and I kind of, like a piece of me would feel like I would want to, punish the audience a little bit for fucking with the person right before me. You know what I mean? Or at least call it what it is. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like Zappa would probably be the same way.
I think he did. I think Tom actually mentioned in some of those interviews that there were some nights where Frank Zappa would kind of berate the audience about that, But at the same time, what was Frank's whole thing? Frank's whole thing was like, fuck you, everybody. This is the way it is.
Right.
So.
And I respect that also about Frank, is he sprayed it everywhere.
Yeah.
One of the things, I don't actively watch South Park a lot, but they make fun of all sides of everything. Nobody's getting out alive.
Yep.
And I respect that so much.
Yep.
Because that denotes this feeling of humility and this feeling of this isn't that serious. This is not that sacred. This is whatever this is.
Besides, if you're on the left or consider yourself to be left-leaning or liberal,
right,
it's easy to make fun of the right.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Right,
make fun of yourself a little bit more, and
right.
from the perspective that quote unquote your side is coming from,
right.
and I'll show you a lot more interesting comedy.
Correct.
Or an more interesting perspective.
Right.
Right. Because it's. God. I mean, that's one thing about being in the Bay Area that I'm not totally used to.
Right.
Being from Chicago, obviously I'm a very liberal guy,
sure.
and was around very liberal people in Chicago, but I got out here and I was like, I'm like, I need like a sign protesting something to fit in.
Right.
Oh, and a compost bin. I need one of those too.
They got mad at Kevin Hart obviously a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that shit's bullshit.
Already is insane. But then there was this guy, I talked about it on the podcast yesterday, but like there's this actor from Empire who was possibly the victim of a hate crime, and Kevin Hart goes on Twitter and says, "Hey bud, stay strong, like, hey, be all right." Mm-hmm. And then people got mad at Kevin Hart for that. Like, people got mad at Kevin Hart.
Dude.
They were like, "Now do you say why it's not okay to make?" Would you fucking? It's not and that's the bully. That's the bully. Yeah. I smell blood in the water. And there's no consequence on me because I'm not punching a little kid in the hallway. Yeah. Right? There's no consequence on me because I'm actually doing something virtuous. Right. And so now I get to slash this motherfucker's throat and feel good about it. I'm good.
Yeah,
you're bad.
All behind the veneer of my egg. Icon for my Twitter feed because I'm not showing anyone who I actually am because I don't have the fucking gonads to put my actual name anywhere on anything I'm saying. Right.
I'm talking with this teacher, and she told me yesterday that there's this thing in the San Francisco USD where they've noticed, hey, there's not a lot of black kids like making it, and rather than like be a little honest about why that might be, that maybe in culture when you're growing up a certain way, you learn different ways. Uh-huh. Like you can't have like a little white teacher say to a little black girl who's like in 6th grade who's kind of violent, now Shaniqua, let's calm down. Like, that's not going to work. Yeah. You have to be a little more shut the fuck up, sit out type of, you know what I mean? I'm not, whatever. That's a whole nother conversation. Sure. But one of the things that she said was that there was this, she said there are some kids, and she's telling me obviously this privately, like, whatever, but she's like, there are some kids like who she looks at and she loves these kids with all her heart. I mean, teachers are fucking like good people on the whole, unless they're muscling people on the whole. Yeah. Anyway, it was a whole joke. So like she was like, some kids I just look at them and I'm like, you just need to get beat up. Like, that's the only thing that's going to make you better is just to get smacked around. You know what I mean? It's amazing life lesson is to like understand like, oh, there's nuance to this. Yeah. I push the line and I find the line. Yeah.
Bullying is bad. Coddling is worse.
Yay!
Right?
Now Chicago, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, that's why I called this conservative, because like, okay, yeah, I like gay people. Like, I've done hours upon hours of volunteer performances for them. I have very close family members in my life who are gay. I'm all rah, fuck whoever you want, be whatever gender you want, blah, blah, blah. But don't tell me I can't make a fucking joke. Like, can't I be into gays and guns? Like, I can't be both? Like, I have to pick a side all the way, one way or the other?
I can give you a perfect anecdote for this. I was on a podcast last year where I played a song of mine that's called Dear Mario. And Dear Mario is a song that is written from the perspective of Luigi, who decides that he's transgender.
Yeah.
So the whole hook of the song is, don't call me Luigi, call me Louise. And it's
sweet, actually. It's really
the song. This song. I mean, there are comedic parts of the song,
sure.
Like making references to all the Super Mario's kind of stuff. You know?
Right.
I played this song. And
did he shave the mustache, or did she shave the mustache?
That's part of. Yeah, I'm shaving off the stash and spending my cash on laser hair removal.
Yay!
So that's part of the song, and all of it is actually incredibly positive.
Sure.
And I played this song, and it was received well. And the guy calls me from the next day, and he's like, "Hey, man, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, God.
I can't use that song on the podcast."
Fucking.
And I went, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, I have some trans friends, and they're going to have a real issue with it." And I was like, "I have trans friends too. In fact, one of my trans friends took that song and played it for friends of his in the gay men's choir in San Francisco, and it was well received."
Right.
And and he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, I can't.
Right.
I'm just really afraid about the backlash and all that." And I said, and this was the funny part. He's like, I don't want to censor you." I'm like, "Well, that's...
You want?
I'm like, "Well, then don't." So basically, I said, and this was a very short conversation because I know how to pick my battles. And, I'm like, "Okay, man."
I didn't make that much money from it. It might not. Whatever. Just
dude,
have fun.
I said, it is your podcast. You can put on whatever you want.
Right.
And he cut it from the podcast or whatever. He also did some snaky stuff and decided to like bring up my divorce on the podcast and try to get into that. And I'm like, that wasn't really what we were planning on talking about, but I see what you're doing, and I will raise you that snaky move, and I'll make you uncomfortable for making it happen.
Right, exactly.
And the interview was fine and all that, but it was just very illuminating.
Okay.
But after that, it gave me a complex about the song. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't release that song. Maybe I'm going to piss people off, and maybe this, maybe that, maybe. And I'm thinking to myself, but wait a minute, this is. Why I'm an ally.
Right.
Why treat an ally like an enemy?
Right.
And that's kind of the situation where that's kind of how I felt about the whole thing. And I was like, wow, so you are so far to one side that you can't take yourself out of the situation, hear the song for what it is, and realize that it's actually an empowering, encouraging thing. The whole song is Luigi going, "Mario, don't be a fucking dick about this. This is who I am. Help explain to our folks, that that's not a hoax, but they're old school Italians."
Right.
So and it's all and so there's funny parts of it, but it's all like, no, this is fine. If this is who you are, then be exactly who you are.
But it also is coming from a place of, maybe anyway. Obviously you could play it if you want, but like it also is coming from a place of like this is not something you've heard before. So let's make people like, oh, this would be weird. This would be strange. But just because this is weird doesn't mean this is bad. It's like, no, this is new. I haven't heard that. That's kind of funny. You know what I mean? Like it's not. You know what I mean? One of the things that Jim and Sam have brought up a lot, like if you're gonna get mad at joke writers or songwriters for the jokes they write or the songs they write, you kind of have to get mad at Schindler's List.
Yeah,
you're not separating life from, like, he painted. He was in. Like, you can't say, like, well, one art is sacred because, I mean, there are people who have done some horrendous things in music or in movies, like all manner of, because you're wanting to show a story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The message is sometimes not even that fucking important, or sometimes it's like the message is this horrible person, but they also had a family. Like they also had it gets into nuance and context a lot because you have 2 hours to do so.
Yeah.
And you have the autonomy and the anonymity of not being the person on the stage. Someone else is doing it. But all these people way back here did the writing, did the directing, did the sound, held the fucking boom for Schindler's List. You know what I mean? Like
they're all complicit.
Exactly. It's fucking horseshit. You know what I mean? Like, just because I do a joke or as an example, sometimes hubris itself is just for hubris' sake. Yeah. I shoot the moon to make everybody uncomfortable, and it feels good, and it's funny because you're saying the worst thing you could possibly say. It's more a laugh of shock, like, wow, he actually did it, and he did it funny. You know what I mean?
I'm going to play you a song I wrote that's
please
about exactly that.
Maybe put the...
It'll only take a second.
No. Yeah.
So this is one I haven't. Let me see. There it is. Okay. Bulimia must be great if you're a foodie. You get to taste your dinner twice.
Yay!
That's
a simple.
That's okay. There's a lot of places I probably can't play that without people getting really upset. You
Right.
know? I have a bulimic sister, and
Right.
blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, I get it. But if you can't joke about everything on some level, then what are we doing? Then what are we doing?
And that's also funny, like, to not break it down too much, but it's also funny because it's just a small song. Yeah. It's a quiet 2-second song.
That's it.
That is like, I just wanted to say this go right back. Sometimes it's character, sometimes it's you, sometimes it's this. And I believe crazy can come in all genders, all sexes, all sexual orientation. Crazy or too sensitive or whatever it is can come in all, like, it just because, like, real ass motherfuckers wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
Like, I know people who went through bulimia and they would say, "Oh, that's fucked up. That's funny.
That's fucked up. That's funny."
Yeah, because they understand where you're coming from.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference.
Yeah.
You know, and so I always find, like, I know. So I'm half Puerto Rican, half German with a little bit of black and a little bit of English, right?
Okay.
So I get to say what I want 40% of the time. But
You get to get away with what you say 40%
yeah, exactly.
of the time.
And the truth. Okay. You know, if I wanted to, I could pull that plug out there. But it's a dangerous thing, being that you're white cis male, you know, white cis straight male. And so, I mean, a piece of me, a large portion of me is white, so maybe that's why. I don't know what the fuck, but I just feel this need to, like...
That was the 100 pounds you lost.
Exactly.
That guy's gone.
Right. Now they're fucking all listening to
We'll call him
La
Tim.
Raza.
We'll call him Timmy. That was the 100-pound person.
I fucking anytime, and I would have been the same way, and I was the same way when it was the PMRC. In the 80s, going after Zappa and going after Prince and going after, you know, John fucking Denver is saying, hey, let people sing what they want to sing.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong side of fucking history.
Yeah.
But now it's like completely swapped.
Yeah.
Now your religion is to be an atheist leftist. Now your religion is it's so sacred you can't. No, we have to shut down words, and it's if you give them an inch, they will take a mile.
Yeah.
Do not fucking apologize if you know. I mean, maybe if you knew you were being a dick on purpose on stage in the moment, you said fucking something to hurt somebody's feelings.
Right.
But I don't think also, like, hurting someone's feelings. Okay, if me and you are in a fight, like at a bar, and we're yelling at each other, I'm gonna call you a duty head. No, I'm gonna try to hurt your feelings.
I would laugh and then become your friend.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I'm gonna try to hurt your feeling. Like, hurting feelings on purpose is what humans do. Is it healthy? No. Is it a good idea? No. But just because you say the N-word or you say faggot or you say whatever, like, calm the fuck down. Like, it's not a complete. Or just because you tweet, this tweet is not. It's 140 characters. What you think is kind of funny or some stupid thing you didn't overthink and you just put it out there. Yeah. And sometimes it's stupid and sometimes it's good and sometimes whatever. But that's not a complete soliloquy. That's not a complete encapsulation.
Yeah.
God, I'm dumb.
You said it.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not everything you believe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is not. Yeah. Well. That's one of the problems with the internet. It's just it's a tattoo of something that you said or thought, and it's going to be out there until you delete it or whatever. You know, it's weird, dude. It's weird, and I don't want to write stuff. Again, like, I want to write things that entertain me.
Yeah.
So, like, that family portrait song that I was telling you about before, I love to play that song. I've get in so much trouble, but it'd be funny, you know. I had an idea for this is another thing I think that Sivan, my girlfriend, shot down because I thought like here's an idea for a video, and she's like, all right, and I said, so the video's gonna start, and I'm gonna be looking in the mirror and, like, you know, just like almost like not happy with how I look and kind of like poking at my body and kind of like not really into it. And then over the course of the song, you're going to show me eating garbage and more garbage and McDonald's and all this stuff. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be 20 pounds heavier, shaking my big belly in front of and rubbing my man tits together and being like, perfect. This is how I wanted to look. And I was going to do it backwards, like losing the 20 pounds and shooting it opposite way. She's like, you can't do that. People are going to be so angry at you saying that you're like fat shaming yourself or fat shaming anything. And I'm like, but wouldn't it be great if we could just take a step back and kind of go, all right, for what it's worth, like, for the sake of, like, making a video, I'm not trying to, you know, I don't know,
entertain.
It's
entertaining.
That was a funny thought, you know, like
my thought is, when you do give them an inch, like, if you give the people, if you really apologize, you can't come back from that, really, because you've told them that you can be bought or you can be intimidated, right? So I kind of think leaning into it and be like, no, I mean, which is great about a podcast like this. I mean, it'd be hard to like really extrapolate in 10 minutes, but like, number one, the basis, everybody knows listening to my fucking podcast that I'm not a goddamn expert. Like everybody, I am not a talking head on CNN or Fox News, either one. Sure. I'm a stupid ass and I'm a musician and I'm fucking bald and I speak from my experience. You know, and sometimes it gets political, sometimes it gets comedy, music, sometimes it's me talking about drugs or whatever the fuck.
Sure.
So already not coming from a place of being an expert, but also practicing on the podcast to say that I'm wrong, practicing like how to, you know, whatever, and
refining.
Why the fuck did I?
You're refining. It's all just refining everything as you're going. So
right.
You can't. Dude. I mean, actually, you just actually came up with a good idea for a song that I can write, which is the "I'm Sorry" song.
Nice.
Where the whole thing could be like, this song is. I just want to say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm not exactly thinking what you're thinking. I'm so sorry that I think that fat people falling down is funny.
Right.
I'm so sorry.
And maybe at some point you say, next time, what you're going to promise to do. I will individually interview everyone before every show to make sure what your topic is that's taboo.
Yeah, I need everyone to fill out this questionnaire
right
before I begin. And while you're filling out that questionnaire, here's a song. Don't go up that mountain alone, and don't go down on a homeless person ever.
Well, all right. See, that's where I have to draw the line, because homeless people deserve love too.
They do.
Imagine, do you think it'd be weirder to see already giving head to a homeless man? Like how many months homeless? How many months without a shower, right? Uncircumcised or circumcised, that's a whole nother schmegma factor now, because that's a whole nother family tree.
I need to write another verse to that song.
Right. Maybe if you take it off, would you scrape it out and it looks like brie? You know those trees knives? Out. You take it out, spread it on a little cracker.
Scrape it out.
See, doing shit like that. Like I love to make people go, I like reactions. Yeah. I like fucking reactions.
You don't like my Dick Cheese song? Sorry, let's play the next one for you.
Exactly.
Oh, dude.
I wish I was. Never mind. That makes sense. I'll say this. Sometimes when you have sex, some liquids don't look like normal liquids. Sometimes
you mean Santorum?
I don't. All I'm saying is I was having an experience at some point recently with a beautiful female who's any woman who decides to have fun with me. Like I love you, baby. But it was sometimes you look down and you're like, I don't know what that is, because I don't think she's on her period. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
But it's okay, but keep fucking, if you keep fucking.
Yeah, these are thoughts that go through your mind during sex that are alarming. Is when you say to yourself, what's that?
Right. Have you ever, I was talking about this too. Sometimes I have a thought like, I think I'm staying hard. Oh, wait, am I staying hard? And then I start to snowball. You know what I mean? Yeah. I start to, oh, fuck, oh, God damn it. Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard being. See, this is male.
I feel like a lot of this podcast is just basically the preamble to the show that we're going to eventually play together.
Yeah, we're going to be
in trouble.
See, but that's the thing is that as far as the leaning in, that's what I was thinking. Like with the fact that like having this podcast, I can really explain my stupid opinions and my dumb jokes and I can really have a place. And often I say something that's wrong, but like as far as leaning in, I really believe like I'm gonna keep doing what I want to do because it makes me happy and the people who listen. Yeah, I'm not at Joe Rogan level. Blah 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 blah. Like the people who listen start to really. I've had so many people tell me without me asking, just send me an email or send me a Facebook message or on Instagram and say, I agree. I disagree with this guy, but I really love your podcast. Or I disagree with you about this, but I really love you. Like
that's what the world needs.
That's what we fucking need. And was it easier to do that in Chicago? No, I was actually. You said you stopped performing?
I wasn't doing anything in Chicago when I was for the close to 10 years that I was as an adult. Once I left Iowa, I was singing in a fusion funk band in Iowa after college. Dude, there's some stories there for sure.
Okay.
But when I moved back to Chicago, I was 24 years old and didn't know who I was, what I was doing, and I was just waiting tables. I was waiting tables. I would play shows once in a while, but full blown identity crisis. I didn't know who I was or what I was doing. Right. So I didn't really try. It wasn't until I got out here that I had basically the balls to go, I don't care. What the fuck do I have to lose? And just starting from scratch and figuring it out as I went along. So I'm still not there.
Right. And letting the ground fall out from under you is an important thing.
Dude, all the time. You learn so much from just failing at stuff, and going, all right, well, that didn't work. How do I bounce back and move on? I mean, that's the thing. You look at any musician or artist or podcaster or anything that you look up to, you're going to find some people who have had some serious missteps and have seriously fucked up, and then end up doing interesting, impactful things, or like multiple bankruptcies, and then end up being the president of the United States. There's
And when I think of Frank as an example, like he had so many, it's something like 60 albums. Like some of them are really not very good.
You have to Frank Zappa. I put Frank is in the same category as guys like and Tom Waits, Bob Dylan, guys who are incredibly prolific. You got to get through a lot of shit to find the good stuff.
Right. Some of those doo-wop. I'm like, Frank, what are you doing? Like, I don't give a fuck. I know he's happy, but I don't give a fuck about this.
But that's the other interesting part about it is there's different types of Frank Zappa fans who go, oh, Ruben and the Jets, that's a great album, and here's why.
Really, though? Really?
But then if you look at some of the electronic stuff that he did in the 80s, which is the most alienating of a lot of the stuff that he did, you're like, who is this for?
The really fast G-spot tornado. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. You know what song, by the way, it made me start listening some more Frank recently, is Pick Me, I'm Clean. Do you remember that one?
What was that one on? Pick Me, I'm Clean.
What is
that
it?
Reminds me of
You'll meet my mother, you'll meet my brother, you'll like my sister, really you will.
Pick me.
Oh, she asked me, do you know Whitney?
Even if this could not have been a song, and what you just did was like, yep, that's a Frank Zappa song. That is a Frank Zappa song that I don't know. Right there. Yeah.
And then there's a breakdown where like oh yeah, to pick me, I'm clean. It's so good. And it's all live too, that cocksucker.
Pick Me, I'm Clean. Oh, there it is. It's off of, the fuck album is this? Buffalo?
No, there's a live version actually on Tinseltown Rebellion, on the album that he did, Tinseltown Rebellion.
That is...
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I don't have that much experience with this album. Because there's so fucking many.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to spend some time with it. Oh, listen to those 80s synthesizer sounds.
Absolutely. But that's live. Do you know Roxy and Elsewhere?
Fuck yeah, I know
That's
Roxy
my
and
favorite
Elsewhere.
Fucking album of all time.
It's like a penguin in bondage, baby.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Cheapness. I listened to that so much. All of 6th grade, I think. That entire.
Yeah.
Dude.
So have you gotten a chance to see Dweezil yet?
No.
So,
I keep hearing about. Oh no, you were the one who said it was a good one,
dude. We've seen Dweezil the past two times. 2 out of the past 3 times he's been in town. But the first time I saw him was he was doing a tour doing all of Roxy and Elsewhere,
right,
from top to bottom, the full album. And then threw in a couple other songs as well.
And is Napoleon there and like all those guys?
Sometimes
if they're alive.
Sometimes those guys will do some one-off stuff with them, but otherwise he has a full band of assassins. Right. These guys are like the best in their instrument. They are such killers. Right. I mean, it is the most. We just saw him recently a couple months ago at the Fillmore, and he did this tour that he called Prime Cuts.
Okay.
And I can share with you the playlist. I made a full playlist of everything that he played from that night.
Beautiful.
But it was one of the most interesting shows because the precision that every one of those musicians are able to play with.
Right.
Sometimes 5 shows in a row. Like it's insane what those guys are able to do.
Does he do the same thing that Frank would do, where like he does the hand signals? Okay, now we're gonna do reggae.
He's
and like
conducting. Yeah, he doesn't make them turn on a dime the way
Right.
Frank would.
What a dick, man.
Yeah, because Frank would, maybe you read the same thing that I read, is the fact that Frank would pretend that he's playing with the dreadlock on his.
Yeah.
He'd pretend he was twirling imaginary dreadlock, and
Right.
the whole band would shift to reggae. You know. But that's the other thing too. Is Frank Zappa? He encompassed like the brilliance and the.
Subversive, the like attitude.
Well, is the fact that that he had such respect for composition,
Yes.
but at the same time, such respect for improvisation at the
Right.
same time. So it was this band can do anything. They are going to be the most killer ensemble of playing the precise music, and then I'm going to let them run free for a
Right.
little bit,
Right.
and then I'm going to bring them back in.
Right.
You know, I mean, that kind of like band leading kind of. Seeing how much road is ahead of you,
Right.
like in real time,
Right.
is something that he will always be one of my favorites, and someone who's probably never going to come around who can do what that guy did.
And not just that, but two other angles. Number one, the professionalism angle. I even only a couple like a year ago did I realize, because I used to have Have I Offended Someone, which
Yeah.
was just a compilation or whatever.
Yeah.
But
It's a great one, though.
It's a great one, and it ends with Yo Cats.
Yeah.
Yo Cats. And that only like a year ago did I realize. Oh, he is shitting on jazz musicians. Like, let's play a little flats, make the session go overtime. That's where it's at. Like, he broke walls, like the fourth wall. Like, he didn't have the whole, like, when I go to see Nine Inch Nails, and I love Nine Inch Nails.
Sure.
But, like, Trent doesn't say, hi, everybody. You know, how we're doing. I like talking to the audience, and that's where I grew up with Zappa, who would like, you know, hey, can you turn the lights up? You know, like he would fuck with people. He was
Ladies and
free in order
gentlemen,
to do that.
if you'd like to throw your panties, there's an area right over here on the side of the stage where...
Yes, and I like that. I like talking with people. I don't want to be a polished all the way 80s band, you know, no offense, whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to be in the shit, because I like... Because it's not just the music angle for me; it's also the comedy angle, which you are knowledgeable about. You from your fucking experience.
It's a conversation.
Right. Exactly.
It's a conversation. And if you're not having a conversation, then you're just talking at people.
Right.
Then it becomes a lecture.
Right.
You know? And what did Frank say about jazz music? Jazz is the music of unemployment.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
or jazz isn't dead, it just smells funny.
yeah.
Right.
Well, and that's the other thing, too. When you think about the jazz musicians and the classical musicians, those are the two types of musicians that are so well-versed on their instruments. They're so good that it's difficult to get them work because they're so good.
Dude, I had a musician come on my fucking album. I won't say exactly, but like I had a musician come on my album, and I checked in with the other people later, like my dad, and he was like, "Yeah, that happens." Blah blah blah. Like there is a difference between someone who knows the notes and has been playing since they were 11 and is just fucking amazing, and someone who I can say, yeah, do whatever you want. Like some musicians feel uncomfortable doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I'm not as much, like I was saying, like I could give a fuck about the guitar. Maybe you're not the same way, but like I would rather give someone else that job so I can jump around and be the band leader and fucking the lead singer and all that stuff.
I wish somebody else knew all my songs so I can just sing them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a gear guy. I'm not a guitar guy.
No.
I can basically tame this thing to accompany myself.
When
That's
someone, when a musician or a guitarist in the audience would say, "Hey, we're kind of Yamaha," they're like, "Great," and I literally have to just fake it, like, "Yeah, Nick, great," because I don't give a fuck. I haven't spent any time investing in like what kind of guitar and why, you know, whatever, which is bad. Whatever. But like, I respect composition more than anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, from the like, not that the like the composition for the improvisation, but like sometimes there are some musicians, especially like violinists or whatever, like who have like amazing shit, but it's all on the page.
Yeah.
Not in their head at all. Like it's more muscle memory, and they're amazing at it. They're fucking amazing at it.
I got a great example of this. So, Sivan got me tickets for my birthday a couple years ago to see Stevie Wonder performing songs in the key of life.
Beautiful. God
Dude,
damn
I
it.
just got chills once I said the word life because the whole experience, like, it was at Oracle Arena. They did the entire album, which is a masterpiece.
Yes, it is.
So many musicians on stage, and he had strings on stage for part of it. For Pastime Paradise, there's all those string parts that are playing in there. So it comes to like towards the end of the song, and you know the string players are probably hired out in regions where he's going to be playing. Like, I'm coming to Oakland, I'm going to hire, my music director is going to hire the strings who are local to play.
Right.
So you have like probably 8 string players who are glued to the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing jump, 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 jump. They're playing the whole thing. And Stevie, being Stevie,
Right.
goes, let me break it down now, and starts calling out to the strings, play something like this. And and all of them are looking at each other like they had just been asked to do a gymnastics
fuck off
routine.
the stage,
They're like,
dude. Get the fuck.
They were terrified, and all of a sudden, like one person kind of started to do something, and then another person's like, I guess, okay,
Right.
you know. And Stevie, being Stevie,
Right.
all he can do is use his ears, and he's like calling them out. He's like, come on, do this, do that, and they just didn't know what to do, you know. And it's
Right.
like, isn't that refreshing to see that? It's like, the music's not going to help you on the page all the time.
Right.
It's not going to help you.
Opie and Anthony were telling the story one time of seeing Ray Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray Charles, you know, obviously it's cheaper to hire someone someone in Oakland who plays violin and play for airfare, hotel, food, and payment, you know, per day and performance, than to bring your own from where the fuck. So he had I guess Ray Charles had this bassist, and that's a real goddamn important, like, that's a fucking really important instrument.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like violin jumping in on the bridge. Like, you have to fucking,
Yeah.
and I guess this bassist was playing really like I still remember like him telling this story about Ray Charles. It's a G, motherfucker. Like, G, goddammit. You know what I mean? Like, I love that, you know. I like, you know, I don't know.
Another example of this, even though I'm the last guy to talk up the Eagles, but I'm
They have some good songs.
They do have some good songs. Or as a friend of mine who works at copadevino goes, someone yelled out Eagles during one version of Let's Negotiate a Cover, and I said very quickly, I'm like, I don't really know that many Eagles songs, and the guy who works at Scopo goes, there's only one Eagles song.
Yes.
And I went, that's a good
There's
point.
only one Rage Against the Machine song too, by the way.
That's true.
I love the song,
Yeah.
but there's only one fucking song.
But my dad was watching this documentary or something on the Eagles, and I had just coincidentally walked in the room when it was on, and there was a scene where Don Henley was like trying to give direction to the guy who's conducting the strings.
Right.
They were doing Desperado or some fucking schmaltzy song that needed all the strings.
Sure.
And Don Henley gives like a direction to the conductor, like, no, it needs to sound like this. Mm-hmm. And then Don Henley turns to the camera because he knows he's being filmed, and he goes, classical musicians. They're classical musicians.
Right.
Like in like a condescending way. You know? And I remember being like, I kind of see where he's coming from a little bit, you know? I don't know. There's pretension in every type of music.
Yeah, there is.
You know,
I've been that guy before.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know, and there's certainly
I'm a snob when it comes to all of it. So,
and there's certainly times where I have. I mean, that's why I'm. You know, I can't turn back time. I wouldn't change who I am, but I would have learned more about music theory and done some of the shit you do.
Because too late.
There's a way to hide behind anything, sure. and I've hidden behind improvisation. Because, well, I'm good at that. You know, I'm hiding behind, you know, the covers, or I'm hiding behind the, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
I use music. I still put the work in, man. I mean, for me, like just practicing singing, I'm challenging myself to. I have a sight singing book, and I sight sing a couple of melodies every day. Because you have to keep that muscle, you know, taut and keep it going, because otherwise I'm going to lose the ability to read music at a level where I feel like I'm functioning well with other musicians.
Right.
Or it helps, it informs my writing too.
Right.
So a lot of times I'll take an interesting chord or an interesting change and go, I'm going to write a song just around this to help me get used to doing this kind of, you know, this move, this
right.
I'm not sure what the words I'm looking for.
Progression?
Sure, this progression or this just a new trick to put in my bag. Mm-hmm. You know, it's never too late with music theory. You can always pick up some stuff from it. So,
right. and I think that's part of my kind of flawed process that I've been using is I'll sit down with a guitar and just see what sounds good, and then try this hand, and then I start to like, and then if I went there and like and sometimes it's really surprising and it's great, and it eventually turns into a song. There's two of those. As far as the newest song, that one from June, I literally woke up and I'm still in my bed, like, with this melody, and so I record the melody like while I'm face down on my fucking mattress, recording the melody into my notes, kind of chuckling to myself, and then wrote lyrics voice to text like while I'm still in my bed with one eye open. Like that's you know.
that's the thing. When you're open and ready to have the song fall out of you, a lot of times the songs will fall out of you.
Right.
But it's how do you function the rest of the times when you are hoping for it to fall out of you and it's not going to.
Right.
It's like
I mean, a piece of me would rather just get a fucking pizza and watch Netflix. Like, that's not... I know that's bad, but that muscle, it's so much easier to just say, fuck it, not right now.
Well, there's also a workaholic type of culture in the arts that I'm trying to take a step back from. Because my whole thing is I want to have a sustainable life with balance.
Right.
Like, last night I spent 3 hours writing songs and practicing. And then after that I was like, I'm going to stop right now.
Right.
I'm going to stop because I don't want to bang my head against the wall.
Right.
Now I'm going to get stoned and put something on Netflix.
Sure.
You know? Like, because I've done the work. I'm going to walk away from it right now.
And you're also a professional musician. Like, I'm really... my ultimate goal is just to be completely... Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to be rich. Yes, I want to be known. I want to have the autonomy, and I've said this many times. Really, if I could just live comfortably and have the autonomy to say, and have my own exact studio and just text Beck, hey, you coming over at 3? You know what I mean? Like, and we're going to write and shit. Yeah. Like, I want to be able to have the reach, absolutely, because I want to touch people and I want to whatever. But really, I want the autonomy and the freedom, and I need money to do that.
Yeah.
You are in a position because you made the decision to have the responsibility to do so, to say, fuck it, I'm going to live like this. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to hustle like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? And so I feel like in some ways, and I'm not quitting my goddamn job right now, but like in some ways, and there are a lot of doors opening up, like amazing shit where I'm like, okay, fuck it. I don't want to live it. I don't want to fucking put on a goddamn apron anymore. Yeah. I know I can do that, and I'm good at that, and I use my performances in that too.
Oh, sure.
You know that from going up to a table and saying a joke and then blah, blah, blah.
God, and that's the thing. And from a serving aspect, it's the best because your audience stays in one place and you can walk away.
Right. I used to work at Dick's Last Resort. You ever do Dick's?
God bless you.
I loved it. It was so much fun.
You were probably great there.
Oh, it was so... I would literally stand on a table and say, sweating ya, and I would be getting paid for doing so. And another server, like I would be doing... I've said 9/11 jokes. I said race jokes. Like I was foul. I loved it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it was also... I was kind of a new server at the time, and they opened the goddamn restaurant in fucking Pier 39. Yeah. You're not supposed to have a Dick's Last Resort at Pier 39.
No, that doesn't...
We should have been in the Castro, if anything.
Yeah.
Gays love that shit.
Yeah.
Drag queens love that shit.
Yes.
Reading people, ripping them down.
Because they're funny people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your ultimate goal?
Sustainable. Like, I mean, I'm starting this Patreon because it's going to push me to create on the regular. Mm-hmm. I always joke around that...
Do you need more fucking pushing?
Yeah, but no, I do, though.
You don't seem like a lazy motherfucker.
Well, I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's very true. I'm far from lazy. I'm way too neurotic to be lazy.
Sure.
But for me...
you could be both. I'm both. Anyway, continue.
If I don't do something like this, then I'm just going to wait for the opportunities that come my way that goes, hey, can you write a song for this? Okay. Right. As opposed to me consistently writing for myself and going, oh, I have something for that. And just creating just to create, not worrying about who's it for, who's gonna like it, who's gonna hate it. It's like no, just putting it out there, just creating and going and going and going.
Right.
For me, the goal, since I made the first goal of creating a sustainable life from doing music, I'm doing that right now. Mm-hmm. Now it's what kind of sustainable life can I build where I'm playing more shows and doing more things for what I do creatively. And I always talk about how everything I'm doing is just practice for me to be a game show host one day. Because I almost feel like that's going to happen.
You would be fucking absolutely great at that. But you can't do not Mark Summers. You can't do a fucking Double Dare. You wouldn't be an Alex Trebek. You would have to be subversive and asshole. Like you would have to. Like a little Joel McHale maybe.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Or think of Jimmy Kimmel when he was on Win Ben Stein's Money.
Wow, I forgot.
Do you remember that? Yeah, he was the host of Win Ben Stein's Money, and he would sit there and he'd read the questions, and in between the questions he'd say little funny things because he's Jimmy Kimmel. And,
right.
And that was one of his gigs.
Right. You know who's really good on the fly too is Conan O'Brien on the fly.
One of the best.
I don't even like his like show. I like the travel. Do you ever see Conan O'Brien Can't Stop? The movie? That's my.
Dude,
watching that motherfucker touch people and literally in stadiums making everyone... He's great on the fly.
If you want to look up something funny, look up Conan O'Brien interviewing Mr. T.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
It's a super old interview,
Right.
and it's super random, but just the way that he baits Mr. T and gets such crazy information, gets him so amped up that by the end of the interview, Conan's on top of his desk, like he's like running in place, you know? Conan is the best of that kind of stuff.
Right.
But think of Jay Moore. Jay Moore was the host of Lip Service on MTV.
Is that is that like what was that stupid dating show?
No, this was
was this grind era?
This was like early '90s. This was like a lip syncing show, and Jay Moore was the host of it. Okay, and I remember seeing him being like, "This guy's kind of funny. This show sucks, but this guy's kind of funny." Right, you know. And then he went on to do all the things that Jay Moore does. You know, right. So again, like me thinking that every gig that I go out for is an audition for something else. So really, man, I don't know what, you know, part of me thinks that doing speaking engagements could be something in the future because everything I've learned about leading a band, I've done it from being a wedding singer. Right. And, you know, the manual that I've already written, the 30-page something, is already turning into more of a book than anything else, with anecdotes and stories and all that kind of stuff. So,
and you can't help but make it with your personality too.
It's me 1,000%. Right. You know? Well, maybe I reel it back a little bit, you know. Not telling what
no fisting,
what that they can do, where they can shove their glittery clipboard, you know. But
they had a clipboard.
Does somebody like planners, you know? Just so
J-Lo.
So as far as what I want to do, I want to continue to have a sustainable life making music, right? And I want to see what it could be like to maybe get some support creatively and put out a bunch of stuff. Right. And that's it. And then and stay happy and healthy, you know? Like, I have a great meditation practice. I'm doing yoga. I run. I'm doing...
So you do fit in the bay.
I'm doing... Yeah, right? Yeah. I'm doing all the things to kind of take a little bit more of my life back. Right. As opposed to where I was last year, spiraling in a ring of hell. Right. Just being...
The wedding singer guy.
Everything for everybody else. Right. You know? And that's really one of the more difficult things. And at this point... doing music comedy, it's like, didn't I already make it hard enough for myself when I decided to be a musician? Right. You know, it's like when you meet the parents of a woman that you're interested in, and you want to scare them before you tell them you're a musician. So you should be like, "Oh, what do I do for a living? I'm a mime." Right. And go, "No, I'm just kidding.
I just walk in with my dick out." That's what it just like.
That works for some people. You must be.
And then I mime with it like it's a rope.
Must be quite impressive.
Well,
and then you go back and you go, "No, I'm actually just a magician." Right. And then you see the fear on their face register and you go, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm an actor." Right. And you still see confusion and fear and you go, "Don't worry, I'm actually a professional musician." And it makes it seem a little bit...
It eases it.
Yeah. So when people go, "Why don't you do more comedy shows?" I'll go, "Oh, do I want to make it harder for myself still?"
Dude, that's what we should wrap up soon. Yeah. But like, I was thinking, because of this whole move to New York and thing, like... I don't feel like I fit all the way in the musician box, and I don't feel like I haven't done stand-up, but I do a lot of stand-up shows, you know what I mean, like you.
We need to talk more about all this, because
it's like I'm kind of in the middle, like I don't want to be just tied to my song and then shut up like Nine Inch Nails in between the songs. Like I don't want to have any mystery, I want to be just a part and dancing around, but I also... want to fuck with people in the crowd and I want to have fun.
Well, that's where it's difficult, because we don't fit. I mean, not fitting is actually a good thing, but... So I was playing a Sketchfest show last year for Body Storytelling. Sold out show at Punchline. And I was talking to a comedian backstage, and the comedian, she was like, "Well, why don't you do more comedy shows?" And I said, honestly, I've had really kind of weird experiences at comedy shows, and for the most part, I feel like I'm not welcome there. Okay. I feel like I never have that kind of like welcoming feeling when I'm playing. And I said, do you have any insight about that? And she's like, "Well, I'll be honest with you." She's like, "It's really hard to follow a music comedian because the energy is very, very different. And people know when to clap because it's the end of the song. Correct. And they don't know when to clap when it's just the end of a joke. Right. So you have that advantage, and it's a different kind of skill set. Right. And because of that, no one wants to follow you. No one wants to be on a bill with you." Right. I'm like, "Cool, thanks for that."
It's honest.
It's true.
But I also don't want to just be a stand-up either. Like, I want to sing, and I have a good voice, and I want. That's a whole nother energy to play with. Yeah. So it's like,
and it's different.
I feel like maybe there's a third. Maybe there's something we can create.
Well,
Because I'm not just. People have said like, my dad keeps saying like, you need to like have a short blurb to market yourself. And people over the time of my performances have said, you're like Jack Black meets Jeff Buckley. So like, okay, I'm trying to like meld those two because I don't want to be all the way Jack Black and I don't want to be all the way Jeff Buckley.
So I'm bipolar, is what you're saying?
Yeah, dude. I'm fucking. I want to be my own shit.
Yeah.
Let me have fucking. You know what I mean? And that's part of this goddamn podcast because I know I'm funny and I don't want to be just on stage telling jokes and I don't even want to be tied to a bit. I don't want to be fucking tied to a bit. I don't want to ever like think that I'm. I mean, there's immense. I love comedians, but like, I don't want to ever like be going through the motions through that too. Like, I don't want to start a whole new. I just started a goddamn podcast. I don't want to like start doing stand up shit.
And I have no interest in. I mean, I love doing comedy shows when I'm asked to be on them, but I'm not gonna bust my ass trying to get on them because it's brutal. And I have all the respect in the world. I love comedians, and I love local comedians that I've been on bills with that I talk up all the time.
Me and Dave Z's is going to come on next month.
Yeah, Mikey Walls is one of my favorites too, and he does music too, but he's more of a stand up.
You know Shannon Murphy?
No.
She's fucking funny, dude. Shannon Murphy. She's down in the South Bay, but yeah, she's friends with me and Dave and a bunch of the local comedians. She's fucking hilarious.
There's like a ton of, but it's different when you're doing music too because. When I talk about music and music comedy, I always make the comparison of you have to be like a Harlem Globetrotter because the Harlem Globetrotters wouldn't be Harlem Globetrotters if they couldn't play basketball.
Right.
If they were just funny guys, it wouldn't work.
Right.
So I have to make sure that when I'm doing music, that the music sounds good and I'm a good musician who can do funny things.
Right.
Because otherwise, what is this?
Right.
You know?
And you also have amassed enough in your bag of tricks that you can go, okay, song about sex. Oh, they really like that one. Let's get dirtier.
Yeah.
Or they didn't really like that. Let's talk shit about something. You know what I mean?
Drugs. That's a little bit easier than talk about sex right now. You know?
Yeah. This has been great, man. I really fucking appreciate this.
Dude, I could talk to you for
This is
hours.
weird that we're connected, and I'm looking forward to,
We got some work to do together, my friend.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. So where can people find your stuff?
You can find me...
and spell your last name. I mean...
Bergey. Bergey.
Okay.
Jefferson Bergey. You can find me every goddamn Monday night at Copadevino, which is... you can find information at copadevino.com. It's on the corner of California and Divisadero in Pack Heights, and they're every Monday night from 7 to 9. It's a free show. You can see me in body storytelling shows. You can find me at jeffersonbergey.com. I'm kind of on Twitter. I'm more of a voyeur on Twitter.
Right.
You can find me on Facebook. And soon you can find me on Patreon.
Ooh. The name of the podcast is going to be...
Oh, Let's Negotiate a Cover.
All right.
That's
what
it's going to be. And you can come to Copadevino and heckle me. The more I'm heckled, the better the show is.
Right.
So,
and you can find me on patreon.com/conservatish. Split your money between Jefferson and I. And shun everyone else. And you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. And I will be playing at 7 Mile House on February 14th, Valentine's Day. So all you swinger couples, I will fuck your wife. And I'll also be playing on February 15th in New York, but I don't know exactly where yet. Keep you posted. And I love you all very much.
thanks for having me, man.
Thank you for coming
super
on.
Fun.
Shower us with your money and praise. Good night.